Get ready for 2 hours of hard-hitting football talk, straight from their jocks about the jocks. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, and alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, Nodos? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the Know Show. Ooh, it feels so good to be back. Hey,
Woo!
all I gotta say is the offseason seems like it's slowing down. Right?
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yeah,
there's a lot of
quiet.
There's a lot of big. There's still some big names out there. There's still some really good players that you can obtain for your team out there. But what we would like to obtain is some new know-it-alls, some new members out there. So if you would so kindly do so, if you're new to the show and you want to get down with some hard-hitting football talk like we like to do, go ahead and search us up on Facebook and YouTube. Football on the Know Show. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell to let you guys know when we go live. Become a know-it-all. Become a member. Trying to grow this thing. We're on Facebook, I believe we're at 733 strong and climbing. And YouTube, we need a little bit more help over there. So even if you're just on Facebook, if you wouldn't mind heading over to YouTube, also becoming a member on YouTube as well, it'd be great. We're also on Twitter. We do our best to try to keep up with the latest and greatest news that happens around the NFL League. And you can follow us there as well at FB_know. And if you're a podcaster, if you just like to listen to podcasts and you like the audio version of it, listen, you can search us up on any kind of podcast platform there is. We're there. Make sure you hit that follow button. Follow along with us. And listen, hang on for the ride, baby, because it's about to get rough.
Yeah, absolutely. So, man, again, you talk about the news is kind of slowed down a little bit until even just recently tonight.
That's right. What happened?
We got the Mike Tackett ticker went off here, Joe, and we've got the breaking news for everybody.
That's it.
So it's great
Big
because we were
time.
about to start our show, so we made a little bit of an adjustment here. But Bruce Ariens now is retiring as head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yep.
So
definitely.
that is like big news for especially the Bucs fans here too. And now we've seen Tom Brady walk away from the game, retire, and then now come back. We've seen now Leonard Fournette, they bring back the thing. They put Chris Godwin on the franchise tag, so making moves here and there. And you think that maybe they're going to make a run now back at this. Seeing this division seems really weak with Marcus Mariota now going to the Atlanta Falcons, and you don't have Matt Ryan there anymore. Drew Brees has retired still, and you saw what happened with their quarterback situation last year. Again, still in the same type of situation, but now they have Andy Dalton back there too as a insurance policy. But again, looked like they're destined to take this division. And now Bruce Ariens retires, Joe. What kind of impact do you think might this play for this team? Because, yes, Tom Brady gets his due diligence and gets his dues for being who he is and being awe-inspiring and getting this team to where it needed to be in just one season with them. But Bruce Ariens was able to tack on a lot of that credit, too, as well, to get to that Super Bowl.
Yeah, listen, Bruce Arians has done a fairly good job in his career as a head coach. However, he wasn't the end-all, be-all to that Tampa Bay team. That team that won the Super Bowl, that was driven on offense, obviously driven by Tom Brady. I mean, it's that simple. Wow. And with all the weapons that he had at his disposal and the good offensive, they just had a great team. And all they needed was to insert Tom Brady or insert a capable starting quarterback to carry them to that Super Bowl and win it. And it happened, right? They bring in Brady. They happen. Bruce Arians like, oh, man, I'm a good head coach. Not really. That doesn't make you a good head coach because you just had basically a great defense and offensive team. But
you
nonetheless,
are a smelly pirate hooker.
That's a good one. Unless Bruce Arians was the guy that was coaching everybody up and being more of a teacher than anything to get this team where it needs to be, then that'd be different. But Bruce Arians, he's had his his situations, his episodes back in Arizona, which kind of as an organization, they decided to move on from Ariens. He ends up going over to Tampa Bay and becoming their head coach. And then, in Tampa, he even kind of flared up some disagreements with players, flared up some situations to the point where there was a little bit of a rift between him and Tom Brady, down the stretch of the season. We already seen the Antonio Brown flare up in the middle of a game, and he ended up just quitting on the spot and left the stadium. So we've seen this kind of like rugged side of Bruce Arians to where he's kind of rubbed some players the wrong way, and it happened in a negative sense. So Bruce Arians, don't get me wrong, was a good head coach, but not the elite or great head coach that some people want to push that narrative as. But Tampa now without Bruce Arians, all I got to say is thank God they have Tom. Tom Brady decides to come back out of retirement after a couple of months. Said, You know what? I can't do this. I got to play. I want to play. Let's go. So Tom Brady's there. So I would say this. If Arians left and Brady was gone, I would say this Tampa Bay organization is going to go through a major change, because not only is this year's draft weak in that position at quarterback, but also the free agency period of quarterbacks is kind of dried up now. Now teams are looking at some of these backup quarterbacks to add to their organizations, like Cam Newton's still out there, of course, right? But Andy Dalton just recently got signed. Trevor Siemian just got signed. So the quarterback market's drying up even in free agency. So that would have been a bigger impact, I feel like a bigger flaw in Tampa Bay's plan going forward had Brady never came back. But with Tom there, I don't think they miss much. I mean, honestly, what's going to happen now is, Todd Bowles is going to serve as the interim head coach now for this upcoming season. And a lot of people, like I know, Jim, you felt the same way, is that, what about Byron Leftwich? He was up for head coaching jobs. And why not him? Well, he doesn't have any coaching experience. And for it to be such short notice right now, I don't think Tampa Bay wants to go into the season with a unproven head coach or someone that with lack of experience and try to put all that pressure on him to not only run the offense but also be a head coach. So Todd Bowles, he's been a head coach before. He can handle it. I don't know if he's able to handle both things. We've seen him with the Jets where he had to be the head coach and the D coordinator. Didn't work out so well. Maybe it's going to be different with Tampa Bay because he does have a lot of talent on that side of the ball. And then Byron Leftwich can still concentrate on the offensive side of the ball with Tom Brady, and they could still compete for the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. All right, we've got Paul Matty in the house here. He says, "What's up from Playa Linda Beach, Florida?"
What's going on,
here.
Paul?
I'm drinking beer, he says.
Excellent, bro.
Oh,
Excellent.
There we go. This one's out for you then. We are drinking Raise Energy tonight. That's
baby.
right.
Let's
Don't forget, go to repsports.com, hit the promo code, Raise Them Up. That's our promo code to get the special offer here. Only from us at Football on the Know. Get your Raise Energy now. He says Bruce Arians still filling the roster spots. Arians pees in the shower. And Arians, also Bruce was a great leader. He calls it how it is. And by the way, he says AB was an asshole. There you go. It was past tense. Come on. Let's just say he just straight up is, I guess, right? Yeah, we know. He's an a-hole. But, yeah, but I know Joe is trying to say gets things flared up. You see what happened with a blow up with AB, but again, we've seen AB blow up on house sitters and the police and other players too as well. Talk smack about Brady now that he's not even with them before. Talk about smack about other players now that he's not with them anymore or any other teams. So that's his own thing. But I think Joe has a valid point when you talk about Bruce Arians and what's happened with getting on edge with some people. And like Paul Matty even makes up a good point here too. Maybe he is just a little too literal with people and not afraid to say what's on his mind. So it rubs some people the wrong way, especially people that are in the league. Players that have been coddled at times but think they're also superstars. And when they're told a certain way and things to do, it's hard for them to take that. So, but he was the coach, and that's how you handle it. But Again,
put your hands on people.
Putting your hands on somebody. I mean, you see some of that even in high school football right now, and there's a problem with it. Bruce Ariens doing it to grown men and things on the sidelines, I think, is a problem too as well. But I think the bigger story behind this too, not even that he's retiring, because you forget the health issues that he's had throughout the years here too. I swear the thing isn't even the Bose. I think Bose makes his pacemaker right here that was on his chest, though. I don't even know exactly that was the headset situation going on, because I've never really even seen it here to there across somebody's chest before. Like, what makes that much easier to do here than to do this?
Baby.
Like, it's very strange. But this opens the door to when people are talking about the difference between head coaches and minorities not getting the opportunities and here or there. It so happens that under Bruce Ariens, you had Byron Leftwich there. You had Todd Bowles running the defense, and the defense has been playing well for Tampa Bay. One of those guys gets a shot now to jump into that role. So on one part, it's absolutely great for the NFL because, yes, now they get another minority head coach into the fold here. So starting the 2022 season, there you go. You've not got another head coach. And Todd Bowles, I think Joe had said it before, he gets the shot too just because he also has been in that role before. He's been a head coach for the Jets. Maybe not a lot of success there, but also, I mean, think of the GMs that had gone through there too as well, and the personnel that he's had. He has Tom Brady here to lead your team, a known vet, the greatest of all time in some people's eyes, the weapons and Mike Evans and things also on offense, and then that defense that he does have control of. So it's a lot better situation for him moving forward, and I think overall, after it's all said and done, after this, it's a bigger picture, better thing for minority coaches, I think, moving forward, because if he's able to do well with this team and they have success, it is great for them moving forward, because what it also did Brian Flores kind of paint in that that discussion in that lawsuit that he put, that people that were minority coaches were put into bad situations, set up to lose all the time. So I think if Todd Bowles is in this position here, and they do well, I think that's a different narrative that can be spun.
The only thing that I'll say about Todd Bowles is that he's failed once as a head coach.
Right.
He'll fail again as a head coach. And the only thing that I feel like is going to kind of – we already know that what's going to happen after the season. Todd Bowles will no longer be the head coach. It's just that simple. And honestly – what does this mean for Byron Leftwich? We've talked about it multiple times on this show about how Byron Leftwich, his seat is heating up in a good way. Like he's getting his name is getting passed around. Teams are starting to think about maybe possibly giving him a shot as a head coach. And then now it's like, okay, with the vacancy open, you think, oh, well, Leftwich is going to slide right over because he deserves an opportunity, right? Yes, he does deserve an opportunity, yes, my master. But not yet, because it's such short notice that they need someone that has experience at that position to kind of help take over and ease the burden that Byron Leftwich otherwise would have to endure. But I think that Leftwich, what's going to end up happening with him is, like, just say, for example, if his offense is, and I understand he's still got the pieces around, he's got Godwin, he's got Evans, so far, no Rob Gronkowski there, Paul Matty. So far, no signing there with Tampa Bay, he's still out there. And I think that with Tampa Bay, if he can be successful like he was these past couple of seasons, that's going to even more, build his resume as a coordinator to the point where you cannot refuse to give him an opportunity. So that, to me, is going to help him even more for next offseason, where I feel like next offseason will be the season where he's going to be able to explore and take that interview tour to be a new head coach somewhere. It could be with Tampa. It very well could be with Tampa, because Tampa Bay, right now, they have his rights. He's under contract. They could bring him right in and be like, hey, listen, Byron, here, let's do this little interview real quick at the end of the season, blah, blah, blah. Let's see what your philosophy is offensively. Let's see what your philosophy is on building this team post-Tom Brady, because we all know that Brady's not going to be there for another 5 years. So you got to think about the future and how you're going to game plan to attack this roster. So after those interviews are taking place, who knows? Maybe he ends up just kind of sliding right in next season as the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and building his own staff. So a lot of variables that are going to fall into place for Tampa. We all know that, now that's the big news. Bruce Ariens retires officially. And I want to read something real quick. Bruce Ariens had a statement that he said, he goes, quote, he goes, "It's the right time. Spending almost 50 years on the sidelines, it has been one hell of a ride," end quote. So Bruce Ariens giving his farewell to Tampa Bay, giving his farewell to the NFL Football League. He is going to hang up his hat or hang up his pacemaker, whatever that thing was, and call it quits. So Bruce Ariens, he's going in following, the head coach, from the Saints. Now that he's gone too. So these are two like big name coaches now, that now have both decided to retire this same year, where it's going to change both their teams respectively, their landscape that they got going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Sean Payton and now Bruce Arians. Mike Tackett's in the house with us tonight. He says, "Happy Wednesday, guys." Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see Mike Tackett in the house.
What's going on, Mike?
He's the one that broke the news on
Let's
our
go.
group.
Hashtag best off-season ever.
Yeah. So far, it's looking pretty good.
Listen,
you know what I mean?
all I got to say is that we called this, right? You know what I mean? We think about before the season even ended, we were talking about what to possibly expect for this offseason. We thought there was going to be a lot of quarterback movement. There was going to be trades. There was going to be crazy things that we did not foresee. We didn't know in detail what was going to happen, but man, a lot of big names signing in other places, a lot of trades happening. I mean, nobody expected Russell Wilson to get moved. You know what I mean? Like, there was speculation, but honestly, if you're a Seattle fan, you're pissed right now. You know what I mean? You're like, why did we trade him away, and what is the plan for after Russell Wilson? So it's like all this stuff is happening.
We still haven't heard from Tom Leiter since then.
I know.
He's in a cave somewhere,
I know,
I think.
Exactly, right? And then on top of all that, it's not stopping yet. After all these free agency signings that have taken place and these mega trades that have transpired, now what's that? There's a shit ton of talent in this free agency pool still. And I mean big names. Bobby Wagner still hasn't found a home yet. He's doing his due diligence as a veteran professional in this league. He's taking visits. He's seeing what everyone's got to offer, and then eventually he's going to decide where he wants to play. A lot of people think the Rams. A lot of people think the Ravens because that's where he visited. But on top of that, you got guys like Odell, who's still rehabbing from an injury. You got Julio Jones, who's mid-30s, but a really good player when healthy. And that's the thing. Can he stay healthy? So there's – and Jarvis Landry. Don't forget Jarvis Landry is still out there as well. So that – not to say that Landry could, as simple as tomorrow or the next day, could re-sign with Cleveland now that Deshaun Watson's there. I mean, why wouldn't you? And then on top of that, there's other talented offensive linemen, tackles, you name it. So Tyrann Mathieu, another big name, is still out there, and Steph Moore as well. So these names, Calais Campbell, he's another one. Still can play at a high level, but he is middle 30s, 36 years old or so. So these names, I feel like now that teams are starting to turn and focus on the draft, they're trying to prepare their front office for the draft now. They're taking that turn and focusing on the draft. These big-time free agents now, that's not to say they won't sign before the draft. However, it doesn't usually happen after this point, where you'll see like a huge signing right before the draft. So wait till after the draft when you might see some of these dominoes fall, like a Tyrann Mathieu, a Stephon Gilmore, a Jarvis Landry, an Odell Beckham, something like that, Julio Jones. Then you might see some of those big names decide to sign, because all reports before we get to the draft is that they're all asking for big-time money. We've heard Bobby Wagner is asking for a one-year deal for $11 million to play middle linebacker somewhere, which, honestly, that's a lot of money for a middle linebacker. So don't get me wrong, great player, but I don't know if I would pull the trigger on that. And all these players, let's see what teams do in the draft, And then after the draft, when they sign their undrafted free agents or whatever, then you might see like, hey, oh, wait, we never got a corner. Let's reach out to Stephon Gilmore. Boom, he signed there. Oh, wait, we need safety help. Tyrann Mathieu's still out there. Boom, get him. So then you'll start to see the pieces fall, and the price will come down from all those big-name free agents. Not a ton, but it will come down enough to where teams will be more comfortable in signing them.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense absolutely here. Mike Tackett says, kind of seems odd that shortly after TB12 comes back, Ariens announces his abrupt retirement right before the draft.
Right.
My spidey sense is tingling.
Exactly. And this is where we can exactly.
That's not really spidey sense.
This is where we were kind of getting at, like, Bruce Arians and Tom Brady did have a rift.
I don't want to put up with this shit
and there
anymore.
was a little bit of a problem. So maybe with Brady coming back, it was like, Brady, we need your help. We don't have an answer at quarterback yet. We need you to come back maybe for another year, maybe two, whatever. Would you please do that? Well, I'll come back, but I really don't want Bruce Arians there. Oh, okay, done. You know what I mean? Like that could have had. They could have had some kind of a conversation, and that was maybe the moving piece that they needed to attack in order to get this thing all consummated. So maybe, possibly, or is it just coincidence? We'll never know until 5 years later.
Until the 30 for 30 again or something. Who knows?
Until 5 years later.
Here goes Mike. Paul Matty says, make no mistake, Brady is still the OC. There you go.
He's part-time, though.
He's part-time. Mike Tackett says, I think after the draft, those free agents that are still available will sign at a cheaper price. Most likely, again, everybody's got their price until you don't feel it gets closer to the season, like you said, and then they're looking at teams, how they're developed right now, where they drafted, how it looks together, what
holes they
them,
still have,
and the fact that they're still out there and they're not getting signed. I'm sure they still want to be out there playing. So them and their agents will work whatever deal they can to get them out there if they can.
Absolutely.
Or else they're going to be retiring, much like Malcolm Jenkins just did, and somebody else just retired too. I can't remember, but some guys starting to retire. These older guys,
Brandon
veterans.
Linder from the Jaguars, the center.
Yep, and so I mean, these guys are falling in place here. We'll see what happens. I think this offseason after the draft, it's going to get even crazier because we're going to talk training camps and everything else. The nonsense is going to go on in there. And then Tyreek Hill's going to be here.
And also
in the AFC East now. I mean, it's nuts.
And that's the other thing, too, is that free agent list, that pool, is going to get bigger because there's going to be, when teams draft, they go into the draft, they draft some needs, they draft some wants, whatever fits their draft board, right? And then they might get an extra tackle. They might get an extra D tackle or something like that, but they have an older veteran on there that's cost them a lot of money. They move on from those guys. They become salary cap cuts after the draft. And then those guys are going to be available. So it happens every single year. It's an exciting time. If you're a fan in the NFL, it's very exciting because you don't know where these guys are going to end up. They could end up on your team. They could end up on your rival's team. You don't want that to happen. So, but yeah, it's exciting nonetheless, and can't wait for the draft.
Absolutely. You know what team you want to be on? What
team is that?
The Mohawk Honda team, Joe.
The Mohawk Honda
we love
team.
Mohawk
That's right.
Honda, where they go out of their way to please you. Like their slogan says it right there, dude. They take care of you from the moment you drive your car up and stuff. And they say, who the hell are you? Oh, hey, I'm here for an appointment. Oh, yeah, here, come on. Come on, sit down, have a coffee, have some donuts, chill out here.
All right, cool.
I mean, they take care of you. And spring is here, Joe. We don't know it here in New York yet because it's up and down all the time. But I think tomorrow it's showing up. Tomorrow's going to be warm.
Tomorrow.
God damn it. Thank you. You know what I mean? But spring is here. It's a great time to get into a new car, too, that new ride. They still got the Kelley Blue Book instant cash offer going on, too, where they will give you top dollar for your trade-ins and stuff, and then go in there and pick the car that you want, the one that you deserve, the payments you want, everything. Mohawk Honda, they go out of their way to please you. And also this month, go visit Mohawk Honda on Freeman's Road, and you can go to their sister store right there, the Mohawk Chevrolet in Boston Spa. And you can, they are collecting athletic equipment for underprivileged kids in the capital region. That's right. Bring the equipment to either location, and they will donate it out to the community and help some people out there that are underprivileged that want to be able to play sports that can use this stuff still. I know when my kids growing up, they're going through sports. I'm not going to hang on to these old cleats and things like that. They're still great condition.
But like baseball
I donate
bats,
them, get rid of bats too as
stuff
well.
like that, gloves,
things like that. Yeah, that's so super amazing. Also, they got the plate challenge going on too, and that's funny to watch
the
too. To watch
that?
These guys. They go and they think they race how fast they can switch plates, almost like a tire change thing for like the NASCAR. It is wild.
I just need to know: are power drills involved?
I don't think so. I think somehow
It's
they
all
put
gotta
it
be
on there.
manual,
I think so. I
right?
think it's got to be manual. I don't
be
think they can
manual?
use power drills. And to find the right place, the right vehicle, the right spot is to Freeman's Ridge Road. Check them out, mohawkhonda.com, where they go out of their way to please you, Joe. That's right. That's the winning team
Excellent.
for us. And the winning team for you guys is obviously to be here with us at
right.
Football
Right
on the
here.
Nose Show and Godzilla Media. All right. Paul Matty says here, I like the mini helmets on the desk. Yeah, we tried to
Thank
switch
you,
it
bro.
up this
Appreciate it.
season. There's more stuff to go on. By the way, Steve Murray, who, if you guys haven't know, our voiceover guy,
Yeah,
he is
our buddy.
also the voice for the DJ on EA Originals game,
Yes.
Knockout City. So if you guys haven't downloaded Knockout City or played Knockout City
If
yet
you're
for
into gaming.
Xbox and PS5 and PC, play Knockout City. You get to hear the beautiful angelic voice of Stephen
right.
Murray through your headphones and through your speakers while playing that game. He did some more voiceovers for us. We're going to get a new intro going for you guys, and we also decorated the studio some more. You saw the paneling. We have stuff. We're going to unveil some more of that, so we did some switching up, and I'm glad you noticed, Paul Matty. We're trying to spice it up every now and then
That's right.
for you guys to make things fresh. But spicing up and make things fresh, too, that's going to carry on to my next segment here, Joe, even though some people might not like it, and they're kind of like, pff, whatever. But Hard Knocks, they go to Detroit now. The Detroit Lions are going to be on Hard Knocks.
Finally some
And
recognition in
it's-
Detroit.
Yeah, and it's not the Cowboys again. All right, I kind of like it. A lot of people were kind of like, whatever, well, they just stink. Well, they're not going to grab a team that's really super, good all the time and doesn't talk. Like, that's why the Patriots are never on there and things like that. Detroit, they had something to prove last year. Again, we already knew they weren't going to be a great team. Dan Campbell set the bar right there when he was even like, I'm bringing in a live lion and we're going to bite the kneecaps off of people. He's wearing a crazy helmet on in press conferences. And dude in the locker room just had it. He had the emotion from the fire to the crying on top of it, and you saw that team get behind him and really played some of the tougher teams really tough and had some surprising wins too as well, and they got screwed on a few last year too,
They
if you
definitely
remembered.
did. Yeah, definitely did.
So I'm excited to see that for Hard Knocks. I haven't watched Hard Knocks in years, and this
feels
kind of
like that,
brings
right?
me to it. Like the fact that they're doing this, they have something an emotional guy they can get behind, and maybe we can see some changes with this franchise, and they have their opportunity on this type of platform to prove they're not that terrible franchise, in shambles, can never win ever again, cursed, run poorly. They're just going to prove that that is definitely the Jets here on this one, Joe.
Yeah, and that's the thing too is what you saw from Dan Campbell. In his first season as the real head coach of the Detroit Lions, he not only just came out and we hear this all the time. A new coaching regime comes in and they're like, "We're gonna be competitive. We're gonna put it right to every opponent we face. We are not gonna give up. We're gonna play 60 minutes." You know all the cliches that they say, and for once, not only did Dan Campbell came in there with just such raw emotion and conviction. You know what I mean? A guy that really believed in himself and his coaching staff and his team and his players that he had at his disposal. He kind of changed our mindset a little bit on Detroit Lions as an organization. I'll tell you this right now. Me personally, I never gave them a shot last season. I thought they didn't have much of a defense. Okay, they got Jared Goff, but how is this going to work going forward? Not many weapons around him. And then, what do you know? I mean, for a team that you kind of just write off and say, well, they're not going to be really much competition for anybody. But, man, were we wrong. Dan Campbell went in there with his tenacious attitude that he had. And this is something that Detroit needed as an organization. A guy that's demanded respect. A guy that went in there and said, listen, I have a vision. Follow me. I'm going to take you to it right now. So he goes right in there, gets the job done, and not only the team was competitive, but they had a lot, and I mean a lot, throughout the season. A lot of competitive games where they kind of just came up short by a little bit, by a field goal, by 4 points, and maybe a little nudge, maybe a few more defensive players, this past season, and they win those games, or maybe a few more weapons on the outside for Goff to throw to, and maybe they win that game. So for an organization that quickly has become at least a competitive team right now. We all know that they have a ton of work to do going forward, but they are a team to kind of keep an eye on. And this is where in the NFL, actually, they're following behind Detroit right now because they're saying, okay, we're going to make the HBO staff picked Detroit Lions. They asked them, like, would you mind us coming in? We're going to do the Hard Knocks. We want you guys to be a part of it. And for the Detroit Lions to be picked to be on Hard Knocks, and on top of that, then all of a sudden you hear the news about 2024. They're going to also host the draft. So this is something that even the NFL is taking a notice to, and they're saying, hey, this is an organization. They're not there yet by any means, but this is an organization that we could see get better year after year. So they have some pieces. They got their quarterback. You know what I mean? They have a good backfield at running back. So they got to build some more pieces around him. Obviously, maybe shore up that offensive line a little bit better, and then attack that defensive side of the ball. And then this team could surprise some people down the stretch.
Yeah, I think it's cool because we get to take a peek behind the curtain, see what they have going on here, and the city needs it. And the team does too as well. It's a
some
fresh look for them,
and
that's something that the old ownership. They still have the owner there, but now the daughters and stuff are now running the show. You can see the fresher, younger feel to it all, and and like you said, now that sets up for them to have 2024. The NFL draft's going to be there. You saw what, unfortunately, they don't have a new stadium like what Vegas has done here, but you see what the league has been trying to do with the Vegas Raiders and stuff. And now with the moves that they've made on top of stuff too, Vegas is looking really young, fresh, the hot commodity right now. They're pumping it up. Hopefully, in a few years, they can get Detroit to that. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But that's what they're looking at.
And that's the other thing too. It seems like the NFL is taking they have a formula now in place. Mm-hmm. Like when they see a team that might be more competitive or getting better, it seems like that they're the ones that are kind of next up for hosting a Super Bowl or even hosting the draft, like the Vegas Raiders. This draft they're hosting. So We'll see where all these teams wind up. There's a lot of craziness that's still yet to happen. But nonetheless, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster, everybody.
Yeah. Detroit needs all the help they can get is what Paul Matty says, and he's still drinking beer.
Yeah,
all right. I'm still drinking Rays.
Still drinking Rays.
There we go. I'm feeling good, though. How you feeling on that beer, buddy? It sounds like you're feeling good. That's awesome.
Hey, Paul, what are you drinking, though, by the way?
Yeah, let us know. Let us know in the comments. By the way, everybody else out there, too, feel free to comment, too, about anything we're talking about here, and also if you have any kind of questions, too. We're free to jump off topic, too. We always have fun doing that and talk about anything. What do you guys want to talk about as well?
We are the most interactive show.
That's right.
And we mean to stand by those words. So whenever you comment, listen, like our boy Paul Matty, who's been one of the best know-it-alls out there. Mike Tackett, just to name a couple. Tom Leiter, where are you, bro?
Yeah.
But nonetheless, we like to talk. We like to talk shop. We like to talk about the NFL. We'll talk about anything that you want. Fantasy, the draft,
really nice.
Your team, like what they've done so far in free agency, what we think that they might be doing in the draft. So anything you guys want, or if you want to vent, we're here. Consider us your therapist of the NFL.
Mm-hmm. You know what? We need to have Raider Bear on sometime, I think.
We could definitely do that.
You poked the bear.
Especially after now what's happened with his Raiders. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And being a diehard fan. If you don't know who Raider Bear is, and you're a Raider fan out there, make sure you check him out. It's Raider Bear Live. He does a great job of covering the Raiders. Very knowledgeable. Has a little bit of insight, on certain things that happen in that organization, and a great dude, all in all.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Paul Matty says Mick Ultra. There you go. He's doing the Mick
He's got
Ultra.
the Mick Ult.
So he's going to leave watching the show for a little bit and go potty a bunch of times. Unless he takes it in the bathroom with him. Unless or else he watches us in the shower and he pees in the shower. There you go.
Oh, boy.
And then Paul Matty will be a guy who pees in the shower. There you go. Awesome. All right, so and that'll roll us into our next topic, Joe. All right. So early on this week, the NFL had their owners meeting again here.
Yeah.
And again, what happens is they go and make some changes here. And every team goes to try and vote for something different they want to do. And maybe they'll make adjustments. Maybe they won't. First thing we're talking about here, Joe, we're going to bring up the whole thing about now the NFL clubs, they passed a rule to change to ensure both teams would possess the ball at least once in overtime in postseason games now.
Yeah.
We saw what happened after the Buffalo loss, and there was people crying out all over the place, Twitter, everybody having a heart attack. Because the Buffalo Bills, they didn't get a shot, and blah, blah, blah. And
if they did, they would have won, and all sort of thing.
Yeah, it's all this stuff, and people crying. There's Buffalo fans. There you go. You would have thought Tom Brady didn't get a shot or something like that. But, overtime rules are overtime rules. You have the whole game to figure it out how to win.
Four quarters.
You couldn't do it, you can't do it. Your defense, stop them. That's
Right.
it. Hold them to a field goal, then you're not talking about this. But anyways, they decided to change it. And here you go. Now, every team, no matter what, gets to do it in the playoffs. Now, once you reach the playoffs. So if the team scores a touchdown in the first set, all right, boom. Now, you guys have to at least score a touchdown to bring it back. Field goal ain't going to cut it.
No.
If the other team goes 4 and out or drives down, cannot score, then the other team that gets it, they absolutely get another shot. They just need a field goal again. So both teams absolutely get a chance. There you go. Nobody's going to cry anymore.
This is ridiculous.
Like that. And there you go.
This is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, why? Why do we keep changing rules that don't need to be changed? Honestly, we should go back to the old rule where it was sudden death. Sudden death means sudden death. If you can't stop the team or you can't score on a team, you don't deserve to win. That's it. Next score wins. That's what it needs to go back to. All this crying, whining, oh, but my team, what if they had one more opportunity? What if my team had one more opportunity? Hey, let's go to a college system. Let's start at the 20-yard line and see see if you can score there, and then the other team gets an opportunity, and then they score there. Stop. Just stop. Both teams do not need a shot. I'm sorry, Paul. I disagree. Listen, there's a reason why they call it sudden death. There's a reason why there's overtime. It's to end the game.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
And if you have 4 quarters to win it and you don't succeed, you got to do it in overtime. So first score, it should go back to first score wins it. End. If a team drives down, they kick a field goal, there, game over. It's done. Your defense couldn't stop them. Or if you're offensively and you can't drive and you turn the ball over, you got to punt. All right, well, and they score, done. It's done. That way, games don't overrun. And here's the thing.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Everybody wants their team to get an opportunity to tie it and maybe win it and all this other thing. The NFL doesn't want games to go on forever. And it seems like they're catering to a lot of people that say, oh, well, both teams should get an opportunity to tie it. But what happens if they've tied it 3 times now? What if each team has kicked nothing but field goals and then it's still tied? And now we're like 12 to 15 minutes into it's almost like playing another quarter at this point, and now it's like, what the hell? Are we ever going to get a thing? And not to mention, we bring up also the fact about the season being longer, leading to possibly more injuries, leading to a lot of things. And now on top, you're going to extend games. That I don't think it's the right idea. So I'm all for changing the rule one more time and do it right now and bring it back to what it used to be. Sudden death is sudden death. First team to score wins, and done.
Boom. And it's kind of funny how they're going the opposite of what baseball has done. Baseball is done the extra innings, and they figured out that it goes way too long. So now they're trying to figure out ways to make it as short as possible. They'll put a guy at second. They've tried everything to try and make it shorter to just end this damn thing.
You know what I've always wanted them to do?
And now football is trying to say, well, it's not fair. Everybody's got a possession both times. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that, like you said, it could keep going. And they do they want both offenses to be able to have it, right?
But this is the thing though, is that it goes back to that mindset of everybody gets a trophy. Everybody wants an opportunity to win the game. Everybody wants an opportunity to tie the game, to keep it going. Stop. Okay. Just stop.
All right. Now, the only thing I could say to where Paul Matty here, I might be on your side. I'm not on your side, but I'm going to say this. Hold on. Let's see what these guys say. Okay, fair enough. He says both teams there. He says there's no timeout on my next Mick Ultra. There you go. Awesome. What now? An only way to kind of make it similar to their argument say NHL shootout. That would be like, I guess, if you got
Field goal
your
kickers.
guy go down and then he's got to try and beat your goalie, goalie's your defense, and then he can score. And, well, that's it. Your one offensive guy had to beat your defensive guy. He did it. Game's over.
Honestly, that would go, if it's football, transition to football, then it comes to field goal kickers.
Right.
Start at the 40.
Right,
And you
if you
keep
did
kicking
that.
5-yard increments going backwards to do like a
Right.
kickoff.
But I think he's trying to see an offensive guy trying to go against a defensive thing.
No.
If they score, then it's over. That's not fair. But they have already made adjustments to that, though. Because then, again, if they only hold them to a field goal, you could still go back and get it and still go. What happens if it is both offensives need to take the field? Say the one offense has it, they turn the ball over to defense scores, and is it game over then?
Game's over.
Because they did not get to possess it
Game's
again.
over
They possessed
because
it
they
right
scored.
there. That's their second possession.
Yeah, game scored.
So
Done.
that could be it right there. But
here's the thing: is like if and here's something that like if everybody wanted, this is the only thing that I would kind of agree to. If both teams are going to get a chance to do it, like I've always liked the way college does it, where you start at the 20. Say you get a touchdown. You start at 20, you get a touchdown. Now the other team gets it at their at the opposite 20 to score a touchdown. If they don't get the touchdown, it's game over. But at least you take away those drives all the way down the field, chewing up clock, making it longer. That way, and even if a team doesn't score and they kick a field goal, now the other team, they score a touchdown, game over. Like, I've always liked the way college has done it in the NCAA for football. And I thought, what would it be like if the NFL adopted that same kind of overtime thing, where now, if you absolutely must need both teams to at least have a shot, then that to me is the best way to do it, because you're not taking a super long time. You know, both teams can either score a touchdown, kick a field goal, whatever, and then the other team gets an opportunity. If they don't match it, then they lose. And that's it. It takes away that big, long drives up and down the field and chewing up clock. And then, who knows, maybe after 10, 12, 15 minutes in overtime, nobody scores. Now it's another overtime. Now we're playing almost like a game and a half. Craziness. So take all that out. If you're going to do something like this where both teams need to touch it, then quite simply adopt the college overtime rules, and let's see how that works out.
like you said, the meaning of
Just 1
overtime
year.
is to finish the game,
Right,
because you
get it
guys
done.
weren't able to do it in regulation. Not to keep giving everybody tries to keep
Right.
trying it again.
keep it going.
It's to end the game in finality, because you guys weren't able to do it within regulation. Absolutely. Paul Matty says field goal kickers step out of the shower to pee.
Excellent.
There you go. That's another.
I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm doing a great job.
He's doing a
like
great
when I
job.
was a pro football kicker.
Yeah,
True stories.
it is.
Yay! Now I can fist bump with black guys. Nailed it, Peter. There you go. Yeah. We going to the club tonight? Not you. Okay.
That's what field goal kickers are maybe doing right now. They're not, but they might be in the shower too. All right, yeah, exactly. That's how I feel the same way, Joe. It's there to end the game. That's what it's there for. Enough
Sudden
with the
death.
nonsense. So
Go for it.
Let's go back to the old school days. Maybe we're just old school. But all right. So one of the other topics, actually, before we get into this other one here, Joe, I'm feeling kind of nippy down here still too.
Are
You
you?
know it is going to be springtime here.
Really?
Tell me some good news about springtime coming, and maybe what our friends at Johnstone Supply can do for us after these cold winters are hitting us, and then we can get
Well,
into spring.
Finally, when we get out of the cold months, you know what I mean? I feel like we're done with like the storms and the winter and all that, but it's still a little bit chilly out here. So it's never too early to start thinking about how to keep your home cool, your apartment cool for this upcoming summer. Call now for pre-summer. That's right, pre-summer pricing on John Goodman Central Air Conditioners. Or if you're looking to go with the Fujitsu mini splits, they've got them too. You know what I mean? And if you're a homeowner that's mulling your options and you want to get hooked up with a local contractor, call Johnstone Supply, and they've got you covered from head to toe. You know what I mean? You got any kind of question, they'll give you an answer for it. So make sure you give them a call. They have the lowest prices on Milwaukee tools, guaranteed the best quality products at unbeatable prices. Stop into 6th Avenue in Troy, New York to learn more. And also, you can call Johnstone Supply at 518-272 5922. That's 518-272-5922. Listen, this is right here, upstate, Johnson's Supply is very prevalent. But they also have other locations. One I believe, in Seattle, one down in Florida. They're around. Make sure you hit them up, get some answers to help you guys out to stay cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Check them out, Johnstone Supply. They're great. I'm going to be giving him a call pretty soon. All right, Paul Benny says he's got to go downstairs for a new beer. There you go,
BRB.
Paul Benny. Keep it going. You're going to keep that going. I'm going to keep doing this, too, maybe just so it gets you to pee, too, because I know you're drinking the Mick Ultra. I'll just keep running water or something. See if you get, so you got to keep going. All right, he says USFL, too. That's right.
Coming up.
Yeah,
Coming
you guys
up real
feel
quick.
free to post in
I think
our
it's
group
like-
up out there about the USFL, too, if you guys want
if
to.
if I'm not mistaken, I think the USFL starts in about a month.
Is it a couple of weeks now? Because I think it's like the 23rd, I think is the first game, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's in April at one point. I get that mixed up maybe
Yeah,
with the
about a month.
NAL, too,
Yeah.
because I know the NAL is starting up
But
soon,
I'm sorry.
too.
I'm sorry, USFL. I'll be watching the draft.
There you go. I know. That's what we'll be doing that. And we're getting still logistics down and everything else, too, about the NFL draft, too, as well.
Draft special
So we
coming
will
at
get a
ya.
draft special out to you guys. We're just going to get all the details ironed out, and we will post it on our group page, too. So make sure you guys, if you aren't group members yet, make sure you join Football on the No Show group. We're growing. We're getting bigger daily. We're up to 700 and something plus. If you haven't already joined, join ahead. Bring your friends along with you, too. We want to grow our family together. And also, while you're there, go to YouTube and hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, let you know every time we go live. All right, Joe, another rule change that has happened during this whole time here is the NFL makes adjustments to the Rooney rule again.
That's right.
To aid
Another
minority
change.
hiring, Joe.
Another change.
Another change. And again, I understand the narrative or what they want to do here, and I know there's still issues with some people. Some people, you just can't change their mind on what they think. You would like to say that most people are going to think in the most positive light, that they really have truly good intentions when they do things, that what they're saying is truly what they mean. John Mara came out today or the other day and said about the Brian Flores thing, because that lawsuit is still out there. And he says, listen, we are not settling in court on this. We're fighting them together against this whole thing because they feel they did nothing wrong. They went and they did their homework and they grabbed the guy that they wanted. But with all this looming over them and the changes they feel that still need to be made, because there has been kind of a lower amount of head coaches that are minorities in the NFL, and now offensive-minded coaches here, they decide to go with the change here. And, Joe, what is the change that they had made about getting more women were also added to this, but then also minorities?
All I got to say is Paul Matty just chimed in. He says, Mick Ultra is fucking water.
I told you that. I told you that. Well, here, I'll let you guys know.
anyway,
Right? You got it?
Listen, the updated Rooney Rule change yet again. They've kind of reassessed and reconvened and decided to do something a little bit different with the Rooney Rule. One being that all 32 teams have to. It's mandated. They have
mandatory,
to hire either a woman or a minority offensive assistant to their team. But here's the kicker. This is why I think this is amazing, is that none of your teams are going to be paying for them.
Yep.
The NFL is covering their salary for 1 year. So they all have 1 year deals. Thank you, NFL, for giving me an extra pair of hands to help develop my team. You know what I mean? It's on the NFL to pay for this assistant, and it's an offensive assistant, not so much defensive, but offensive, to help encourage more minorities and women on the offensive side of the ball. And who knows? Maybe this might lead to maybe a coordinator job down the road or whatever. You never know. You never know what's going to happen in the NFL. Paul Matty says, Jesus. Jesus, please. But
So what if they hire Jesus? Is that what he's saying? Maybe
They
they're
could
going to
hire
hire
Jesus.
Jesus?
They
Jesus
could.
is technically a minority,
that's
right?
right. That's right.
Yeah,
That could
they
work.
might.
That could really help your teams out there.
Yeah, they could.
Make sure you get on the horn right now. Call Jesus. But nonetheless, this is all new news that just kind of came out of NFL meetings, and we're still trying to kind of wrap our brains around the defined details of it. But that's the gist of both of these kind of big changes for the NFL going into this season. The only other thing that kind of piqued my interest a little bit is not to say like the NFL hiring, whether it be a woman or a minority to be an offensive assistant, but what happens after a year? A team could quite simply, if they liked their progress, liked how they handled the team, maybe they hire him to a 3-year deal or something as an assistant, and that might grow in a couple years if they're doing a great job. That might grow into maybe a stern position. Like maybe you end up becoming a linebacker, or not a linebacker. Maybe you become an offensive line coach. Maybe you end up becoming, a tight ends coach or something like that. And then after a couple years, maybe you start getting noticed. Now all of a sudden, now you're up for maybe coordinator gigs. So it could develop into something. But then if it does that mean that with this other new rule that the NFL has, by getting another team hires that minority or woman from a team to another team, does that previous team get compensated with draft picks like the new rule states for a lot of these minority coaches that have been getting pulled away? So that's something to kind of think about and ponder. So for the first year, free on the house on the NFL with the assistant. And then from there, who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, because that's the thing about it, too, is like you get these people, and the NFL is going to cover it here, a 1-year contract. And, again, now and the idea is, too, they have it set up, too. It's their systems where they have to work directly with the head coach and things like that to learn and train. And now if they're able to do so and they are offered a job from a different organization, you can benefit from that. Again, so these two recent rules now are working hand in hand together. Right. And I think it's just kind of interesting that mainly that it's coming about just because of the Brian Flores thing. Because if you look at the studies still in stats, yes, you could say there has been the head coaches of color and things like that have kind of regressed a little bit.
Yep.
But if you looked at the stats that in 2021, they were up from 35% to 39% of coaches that of minority in the NFL last year. So there was a 4% raise,
right,
and that's even on a past 2 COVID years,
right?
To where a
Down
lot of
years.
people weren't even able to show up, weren't able to go to work, weren't able to do things, and to where even Flores had said, and I think they even said in this new thing too that hiring is not going to be done amongst Zoom. You cannot do Zoom meetings on hiring. No. You have to be face-to-face now altogether.
No virtual.
No virtual anymore. And
well, it should
as
be
far
like
as
that.
the women, too, you've seen them develop into more coaching roles as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And I happened to find out, too, that last season, 2021, there were 12 women in coaching positions. That's the most it's ever been with the NFL as well. So you saw that there was growth.
Yeah.
And like I said, you see it already trending that way. So something has already kind of been changing in the NFL and amongst owners and everyone already. And the fact that they had to change it again or like try to advance it that much quicker and pinpoint it directly at offense because there's just a lighter lack of coaching in the offensive state, that it's targeted to a certain amount and you know where it's spun off to.
Yeah.
I really don't think they really needed to do it because, again, you're seeing progress.
Right.
But I think it's just another way they're forcing it out.
Here's the thing. You brought up Brian Flores, and some new updates have happened with his case that he's got. He's taken the NFL to court. He just has received 2 additional plaintiffs will join the former Dolphins head coach, Brian Flores, in his lawsuit. So he's starting to gain a little bit of traction in terms of other people's support and joining him in this pursuit against the NFL. And hopefully justice is served. That's all I'm going to say because and this brings me to my next point as well is we're talking right now about equality, and we're talking about, minorities getting more chances, now in the offensive role, because the NFL doesn't view that as being, as predominant with women and minorities getting into that role to become maybe future offensive coordinators or maybe even quite possibly head coaches. But we've kind of said this a couple times on our show. We've already kind of beat this kind of like a dead horse in a sense, but change to the point where people want it to be. We'll never get there unless there's minority ownership. Bottom line. Because a lot of I'm just going to call them dinosaurs. A lot of the dinosaur owners that have been in this league for many, many years, whether it be their family that's been in the league for quite some time and it kind of gets handed down, or they just been there. Like Jerry Jones has been the owner of the Cowboys since I can remember. Like it's insane. I think the guy doesn't age anymore. But then you got guys like Stephen Ross.
He's in the Lazarus pit all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Then you got Stephen Ross, the owner of the Dolphins, where this is kind of where it gets a little weird. Stephen Ross was paying Brian Flores to lose games purposely. And if that's the case, and if that's really true, then that kind of makes my mind kind of, the gears kind of turn a little bit and be like, hey, listen, if you're paying him to lose games, was that because you wanted to fire him at the end of that season to move on from him? And that way you were like, oh, well, he just didn't do a good job. So we're going to move on from that. We're not going to do that anymore. We're going to hire, someone. Was that just to get him out of the building? Because it's really kind of fishy. Like now that this is coming up and now he has this lawsuit going against the NFL, listen, he's got supporters going into this lawsuit. So there is some smoke right now, and where there's smoke, there's fire. So whether it be guys like Stephen Ross, the owners that are kind of like that in this league, I'm not saying all owners are like that because they're definitely not, but there are some owners that either their families have been there for generations or they have been there forever to the point where they have certain feelings. Maybe they're racist. And maybe they don't want to adhere to these Rooney rules and these regulations that the NFL is putting on them. So until ownership changes, and this is kind of, we've seen this, like, I believe, what was it? The Panthers were up for sale because the owner got kicked out of his seat there, and they had to sell the team. There was a little glimpse of hope that guys like Jay-Z and guys like and other minorities were kind of grouping together, that guys that have a lot of star power and a lot of money, maybe they could have invested and bought that team. And if that happens, that is when change will happen. That is when you get rid of these owners that have been there for years and years and years, or their family, and they get rid of that mindset, that clouded mindset that because the color of your skin is the reason why you should not be as a head coach or a coordinator or what have you, an assistant, a position coach. That's got to get thrown out of the window. Like, come on. As a society, we need to move forward. We need to start. Listen, just add to your staff the best freaking coaches you can, regardless of gender, regardless of the color of your skin or where you used to come from or your culture or anything like that. We got to move on from that. It's time to move on. It's time to just add the best coach you can possibly, or assistant or position coach, add the best possible person for that, no matter what. And that's where some teams are going with that. We look at the Raiders. I'll go to the Raiders. Like, okay, yeah, they have Josh McDaniels as the head coach. Listen, he's been in the league. He deserves to be the head coach again, I guess. Give him another shot. But what did they do in the front office is they've hired minority coaches. Champ Kelly was with the Patriots once before as one of these assistants in the front office. Now he leaves Chicago to be an assistant GM, a promotion for him. And what's to say, and his name has been in league circles like crazy, as maybe even interviewing to be a GM. I feel like he won't last long as a Vegas Raider because I feel like he's one of those promising, front office people that is going to get a GM spot maybe even next season, somewhere else. And kind of that's where you're bringing into the front office. More minorities in the front office, more minorities on the sidelines as a coach. So until ownership changes, and that kind of mindset gets thrown out of the league with a lot of these dinosaurs that still have that same kind of thought process. Until that goes away and we get more minority owners and maybe even female owners, that's not going to change.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul Matty, he says, first of all, he goes, if I'm a head coach, I want to hire who I want to hire, not who I'm told to hire.
No, you're not told to hire.
He goes, and it's a touchy subject. Absolutely. I hear you there. And he says, I don't have enough of McUltra for this shit. I know it gets deep. I know. That's what we do. We talk about the touchy subjects that nobody else wants to talk about, too. And we're hearing all sides of it, too. It's not like we're going to pass judgment on anybody, too.
No.
And we're not doing all that either, too. We're not afraid to touch any of that stuff. So it's all good. But we will move on a little bit, too. You finished your Mick Ultra, but then I also just finished up my Raise Energy, too. By the way, you guys go to repsports.com, Raise Energy.
Woo!
Hit the promo code, raise them up. That's our promo code. Get yourself 15% off.
Yeah.
I just made
I'll tell you
another
right
order.
now.
I'm going to get mine pretty soon. I can't
I
wait.
still got a bunch
excited.
home. Still got a bunch
So
home.
I'm excited to
listen,
get that.
We highly recommend this energy drink. I'll tell you right now, because unlike other energy drinks that I've had in the past, like Red Bull, I think is disgusting. It's no good for you. It doesn't do
You
anything
can
beneficial
taste, like,
for you.
the sugar in it, too.
But this right here, 0 sugar. It's got amino acids. It's got electrolytes. It's got a lot of good stuff for you, a lot of vitamins and everything. But it also gives me a ton of energy. Like, I have it for a little while, and then when it goes away, it's like normally I would feel drowsy. I get a little down. I feel a little tired after it wears off. Not this stuff. This stuff, surprisingly, when it does, end that little energy boost, I don't crash. I don't feel drowsy. I just, okay, well, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like I have a normal feeling over me. So highly recommend Raise Energy Drinks. Listen, they got a bunch of other products too. They got protein powders. They got even to go powder pouches for energy that you can dump in your water. So they got a lot of different products. Great. This is something great for all you your workaholics that like to hit the gym hard. And this is a great pre-workout. Give you enough energy to get through your workout, and then you don't feel the crash afterwards. This is amazing stuff. But head over to repsports.com and enter promo code Raise 'em Up. That's our promo code that really helps us as a channel. It really helps us. We get a little bit of a commission on this. So really, really, really great stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, because it doesn't crash, too, because you get the hydration, too, on top of it, too. And it's not watered down to where I'm hitting the head all the time and peeing like Paul Matty is going to be doing by drinking the Mick Ultras.
Yeah.
You feel good, and then you don't worry about that stuff afterwards.
Paul
It's
Matty
awesome.
also said he had asterisk Al Davis. And he's right, because Al Davis was the first person to hire minorities in the league. He had the first black head coach. He had the first minority head coach as well, Spanish head coach, and he's also had the first black quarterback. So there was a lot of firsts that Al Davis did before anybody else did, and kudos to Al Davis for not looking at a person because of the color of their skin, but more about the player or a person in the front office. You know what I mean? Like, even like that, it's just astonishing to me that we're still having this kind of negative discussion about, minority versus women versus, who belongs in the NFL, who belongs in the front office. It's bullshit. Let's just get rid of all that kind of thought process. Let's move forward as a society, and let's just hire the best person. That's all I'm saying. Paul Matty also say, he goes, don't mean to be controversial. Let the head coach hire who he wants. And you're right. Paul Matty also says, just win, baby. He's feeling it. He's loving it. We agree with you, Paul. I mean, I understand what you're saying.
You play
and
to
that's the
win
thing.
the game.
Herm Edwards said it best.
You don't play to just play it.
There you go.
And that's the thing is hire who you want. Hire the best person for the job. I'm just tired of this conversation that we keep having about, well, you guys need to start interviewing this person, that person. It shouldn't be like that, but it is until, like we said before, until some of the owners get changed out, and we have new ownership, whether it be a minority, a woman. When we get that new ownership, that'll change the landscape of the NFL, and it will shift towards what they're trying to strive for.
Winners don't use drugs.
That too.
That's true. That's true. So let's change from that subject now. Everybody, I know we got into it and stuff like that. Feel free to post comments out there too. What do you guys think about any of the subjects we covered? And if you have something else you want to talk about too, we'll do it.
Drop it down
Paul
below.
Maddie, bring up the USFL stuff. I don't know a whole lot about that stuff. We're gonna try to educate ourselves some more about this upcoming league and get into that some more with you guys. And maybe that could be potentially a segment on our show. We got one right here. Mike Tackinson. He says, "How unimportant would you feel if you were a mandated token of your company?" A lot of current and former college coaches and former NFL guys that would run laps over having a mandated token. That's what I'm kind of feeling. And again, because I don't know, again, unfortunately, if you look at it from different aspects, 'cause I only know how I know to feel from what I'm viewing and seeing.
Right.
I am not a minority. I just try and rationalize what I see and what
look kinda
I
dark right now.
experience.
Got the hat on.
I got
You're in the shade.
the try. You're darker than me all the time. Look at it. It's that Italian in you, dude.
I
I got the German and the Scottish and everything in me. It's full out. I'm just white as a blanket here. Look at it. And this guy is freaking is darker. All right, don't get me on this. All right, but I'm trying to say that for me, if somebody tells me I get hired, then I'm questioning all the time. Was I hired because I'm that token woman?
Well,
am I hired because I'm that token, a minority? Or did I really get this job for my merit?
But a lot of times,
Because right
it's
now
not.
you're trying to get hired for your merit as it is. You just don't know if, they're doing it and bringing you in as the dog and pony show here just to bring you in because they have to. But now they're actually making it mandatory that they have to sign one of you guys.
But
ladies.
But here's the thing: is like the token person, you're being brought in as just an interview, and you don't get the job. You're just you're just going there for an interview for a bullshit interview.
Yeah.
So they can go and hire whoever they want. So, that's all it is, and it's got to feel shitty. I mean, I don't know. I'm not speaking from experience at all, but it's got to feel really shitty for one, and for two, it's not right. Because
you take time to go in there too, and not even
that's
the
the thing.
company will pay for to bring
well,
you there.
no, they bring you there.
They bring you there.
Yeah.
But you're still taking time out of your day or travel to go do something.
Listen,
to interview.
Yeah.
To win. Again, am I just going to be this person, or am I?
Yeah, that's what you are.
Going somewhere with this? Am I going to?
But that's where you start to see some of these candidates that do get brought in, right? Mm-hmm. And some of them are refusing to go. They're turning them down. It happened this offseason. There was a couple of minorities that were due for an interview, and they were like, "No, I'm not going there. I'm not going to Chicago. I'm not going to. I'm not going to anywhere else. I'm done." Eric Bieniemy shut down a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I understand he was in the playoff race and all that, but he flat out, when they were done, he's like, "No, I'm not even going to take the interview," because he felt himself that it was just bullshit.
All right, we've got a new know-it-all in the house, Joe.
All right, let's go, baby.
We got the Fire Rises too in the house with us on Twitch.
I
One
love
of
it.
our first Twitch
All right.
guys up here.
You are the
Good
first
evening,
Twitcher.
gentlemen. Says I have the hottest take of the night. Well, let's hear it.
here
Throw
we
it out
go.
there. Let's hear
Let's
this hot
go.
take. I love it. Joe and I aren't really big on hot takes. We give our opinion, and some people might see them as hot takes, but we're not like your average, everyday, ESPN radio and those guys saying, "Oh, this is the
We'll
narrative
be
that needs to be." He goes, "Lasagna is just spaghetti flavored cake." Discuss. No, it's not. It isn't. And let me start off my part of the debate first.
Go for it.
Lasagna, again, has more cheese that's in it. It's really cheese as a main part of it. Not only just the wavy noodles that are in it, but the cheese, the ricotta with the mozzarella. It's a good mix of everything there. And then you have sausage. How often do you add sausage to your spaghetti sauce and things like that? Never. So the different types of things you could do with it. Also, the fact that you can even have a vegetarian one and move along into that. I've never seen spaghetti do that ever.
Yeah.
It is layered like a cake.
Right.
But that's the glory of lasagna, because lasagna is basically the cake of pasta. If you want to take that route, if that's your hot take here, because there are many layers that you could do whatever you want with it. You can have this layer of this and then change it up on there. You can have your sausages with your regular meats and then your ricottas and your veggies. Any way you do it, I think it's great. Just like I think most cake is good for me. But there's different ones that are better, and there's many glorious ways you can dress it just right.
Yeah, I'm going to put it real simple. Listen, there's layers for a reason. Just like a cake, there's layers. And just like, Jim was mentioning, like the cheese, the amount of cheese that's in it, well, that's kind of like your cake. And then the lasagna, the pasta there, that's just kind of like to break it up just like a layered cake, And honestly, that's really all it is. It's just like what the Fire Rises 2 has just said. Lasagna is just spaghetti flavored cake.
Man,
I completely agree.
Yum, yum, yum.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out. This ain't delicioso.
That's it. But that's the thing. And then he said also, Bills will win this year. Dolphins in 2023. Boom.
Boom. There's a hot
Touche.
take. Boom.
He said touche.
I like you. You have balls. I like balls.
All right, here we go.
But hey, he
Bills.
comes out there. He comes out swinging.
How nice would that be, though? The Buffalo Bills are able to win, and then they're going to be getting that glorious new stadium built, too, on top of it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen things like this to where teams have really start to move forward and be that hot commodity. Look at what happened with the Rams going to L.A., get that new SoFi Stadium there to help out the Chargers a little bit because they can't do anything themselves. And look what they're in. They come back even a few years later and now win the championship here. Buffalo Bills, you got to be feeling that. You got to be feeling that pressure right now. And again, now is the time to do it because right now Miami's trying to load. They're cocking their gun and getting ready to load up and fire here.
Yeah, and they definitely have the capability to because, listen, they're kind of retooling this roster. They bring in Von Miller, too, to add to that pass rushing attack. And then this team was close in the playoffs. They didn't get it done, but it was close. So they are right there, and they could easily not only get back into the playoffs, get to the championship game, and who knows, maybe Buffalo is playing for the Super Bowl this season.
I like it. The fire rises too. This guy, I love it. He brings the fire. Absolutely. He says also when he says about the Bills in 2020 or the Dolphins in 2023, Dolphins 50th anniversary from 72 season or the last Super Bowl. It's poetry. Absolutely.
Poetry in motion, baby.
I love it. I love it all
That's
together.
a story
this
right
is
there.
Nice.
He goes, the last Super Bowl win.
There you go.
So, I mean, and that's the thing is like, this is what it's all about, everybody. Come in, comment whatever you want down below. You know what I mean? And we'll talk about it. We're like the most interactive show there is out there for football talk. And listen, we're not afraid to talk about anything NFL related for sure. Even lasagna. We're all down for it. So he said we really wasted Dan Marino's career. Shake my head. We've had too much pain.
Oh, so there you go.
There you go.
He is a Dolphins fan.
Dolphins fan right there.
Speaking as a Dolphins fan. That's nice.
The fire rises too. I just got to ask you, do you like what has transpired thus far as a Dolphins fan? Do you like the idea of giving away 5 picks for the star-studded Tyreek Hill, adding him to your team? Do you think your team is headed in the right direction for this season? And what else did he say? He said, we got Colin Murphy
Colin Murphy's
in the house
with us tonight.
What's going on,
too.
Colin?
Absolutely. Boom.
Bills owner should be paying for the stadium, not New York. He's worth almost $6 billion.
Right.
And that's kind of the conversation that Jim was bringing up.
We talked about before their show.
Yeah, before our show. And he was saying, like, how ridiculous is it that, taxpayers are going to have to take on the bulk load of this whole thing. And what's going on with the NFL? And he was also kind of saying, like, why don't they pay more than $200 million per stadium? And that's the thing.
Yeah, I screenshotted the amount. Let me just bring this up quick. The state is paying $600 million. The county $250 million.
Right.
The Pagulas, which are the owners,
Yep.
$350+ million, and then the NFL now $200 million. So the NFL pays the least amount.
Right, and that's always been the regimen. I mean, the NFL will give up to them, and here's what you got to look at it as: the NFL doesn't have to pay anything for you to get a stadium. They don't. It's not part of their. It's not. It's not written on the wall where they just absolutely have to do this, that, and the other thing for franchises out there. So for the NFL to come out and say, "Hey, we'll give you $200 million. We're just giving you $200 million to help build your stadium." Yeah, it's not a ton of money in terms of stadium builds, but it's something to start off with. So, I don't really kind of blame the NFL and how much they are handing out or whatever, but at least it's something, right? It doesn't have to be anything, but it's something. What else we got? We got Paul Maddie. He says, "Great show, guys. You show respect to all your viewers." Absolutely, Paul.
That's what we do. We love you guys. We're nothing without you guys.
The Fire Rises too. Come in hot again.
Boom.
I like the new coach, better players. I am only concerned about Tua. Feel like maybe we should move on from him. They gave him more weapons. Let's see if these new weapons work. Also says, I was actually mad. Brian Flores left. I was actually mad. Brian Flores left, but after the whole fiasco, maybe he butted heads way too much with the owner. That's possible too. We all know, Stephen Ross is an old school guy, and honestly, I don't think he's the right guy to own the Dolphins. But do you believe the owner was tanking games for money? According to Flores, I was actually mad. Yes. So. Real quick, we just brought this up, and you must have came in like right after we were done talking about it. But honestly, if this all adds up and is absolutely true for Brian Flores, and he claims that Stephen Ross was paying him money to lose games on purpose, but I would take it a step further, and I think it wasn't just about paying him money to lose games. I think Ross wanted Brian Flores out of Miami because he was butting heads with ownership, with Stephen Ross, and he was looking for an out. He's like, how can I get out of this contract and get rid of this guy so I can move on and build the team the way I want? You know what I mean? So Flores and him didn't see eye to eye with Tua. Flores said, I can win with Tua, and maybe, just maybe, Ross was on the opposite side of that spectrum saying, no, I want to move on from Tua. I want Deshaun Watson. I want to trade Tua away. I want to bring Deshaun Watson in, and that's what I want to do. And he's like, no, I can win with this team. Don't do that. And by all means was trying to pay him to lose games, and in turn, he was like, oh, we have a losing record yet again. You're not doing your job. You're fired. I have a sense that that's where it was headed. And now you're seeing this little bit of a shakeup. Now you got a new coaching staff again. We'll see what offense is going to be unveiled. We're going to look for like some jet sweeps, obviously, because Mike McDaniel's coming from the 49ers. It looks like that's going to have a similar offense like Kyle Shanahan normally uses, and it's going to work really well with guys like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. So let's see how that forms up. But also, this defense is really good. So it's like this team has a lot of young pieces right now. They are ascending in terms of roster building, but can they put it all together? That's the big critical thing. But we'll have to wait and see how that all shakes out. Paul Maddie said, "What should I order for Burger King?"
Nice. He's got to wash down or fill up his body, with some food here after drinking those Mick Ultras here. Yeah. I don't know. I think do you like bacon? Because then I would say the Bacon King is probably good. I think it's a double patty with all the bacon on it. I don't usually get it and stuff. I'm not a big bacon person, but it looks delicious. I don't think you can go
wrong.
But yeah,
Pick a sandwich.
Don't go wrong at all there. And right now, I think that, you got the 2 for $5s too. Do that up, because you already got your drink. You don't need to do the double menu with the double meals. So just do the 2 for $5. I think is the way to go. All right. The fire rises again.
Too. He goes, I thought I heard Flores originally wanted the quarterback from the Chargers. Can't remember his name, and the owner was hell-bent on Tua.
Justin Herbert? Is that what he's talking about? Justin Herbert?
It can't be Herbert because there's no way the Chargers were going to trade Herbert. Yeah. There's no way.
Maybe was when they were doing the draft.
He also says, I think 2 of the 3 years we were 1 game away from playoffs. Yeah, you were, and we ruined it at the very end, like always, although we probably would have been blown out in the first game of the playoffs. But even if that's correct, even if you were blown out in the first game of the playoffs, you made the playoffs. That's something that you can add to that resume and build off of for the offseason and the next season ahead. Mm-hmm. Paul says, yes, bacon.
All right, so then you probably do, if you don't do the 2 for $5s, if they don't have anything on there for the bacon, I would do the Bacon King there. There you go.
That's right. But yeah.
Order 66.
So with the Fire Rises 2 and what he states, I was under the impression from everything that I was hearing that it was about Deshaun Watson, and Flores wanted to keep Tua because he felt like he could win with him and this team going forward. Now, there could have been some cross information that kind of got mixed up, and that's why I was led to believe one thing and maybe you were led to believe another. But again, these are the type of things where we hear rumors, we hear some news coming out, and we kind of grasp at it and try to put it together and make sense of it all. But we won't really know until like probably 3-4 years later down the road, until something comes out. We're like, oh, back when, remember that whole fiasco with, Brian Flores and the owner and all that? Then some details will come out and we're like, oh, okay, so that's what happened. You know what I mean? Until that happens, we'll never really know the real truth. Love the show. See you guys next show. Okay, Paul, take care.
You're real nice.
And can't wait to see you next show.
I'd kiss you.
Yeah, we love you, Paul. Thank you so much.
The Fire Rises 2 also comes in. I also thought we wanted a trade for Deshaun, but they wanted like 5 players and 2 draft picks. In actuality, that could have been true, honestly, because the Houston Texans were seeking out big-time compensation for Deshaun Watson. He goes, but the Texans wanted so much. Yes, you're absolutely right. And that's the thing is it comes down to whenever you're doing a trade, and especially to a player of that caliber, a very young person in his prime, already proven, and especially at a premier position at quarterback, it's going to cost a lot. It's going to cost a lot in compensation. And if you're okay with it, like Cleveland was, they said, "Hey, let's frickin' do it. Let's give whatever we got to give. Get him in here, because that's really what we're missing. We're missing a guy to take us over the top."
Do it.
And they stopped believing in Baker, and rightfully so, because he made a lot of mistakes. So here comes Watson, and the Dolphins could have done the same thing. The Dolphins gave up 5 draft picks for a wide receiver in Tyreek Hill. That is costing them a shit ton of money. So how is it really worth it? Because that's when you got to think about when trades happen. Is this compensation worth this type of player? And also the contract that we may have to give him to kind of keep him long term. So I kind of disagreed with the trade for Tyreek Hill, because not only did it cost him 5 draft picks, but also now they're paying this guy as the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. So, I mean, do you consider Tyreek Hill? I consider him one of the best in the NFL. I don't necessarily consider him top 2. So, to me, it's Davante Adams, DeAndre Hopkins. It's kind of like a mix right there. And then you got some of these ascending younger guys like A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf that are kind of exciting to watch. But in the end, nonetheless, let's just say this. The Dolphins have been making moves to prepare for this season, and hopefully they get back on the winning track. That's what they're trying to do. And also, another big addition for that team is they now have a legit left tackle in Teron Armstead. That is huge to help protect Tua. And with all these weapons around him, let's see some progress. If Tua does have progress and success this season, I definitely see the Dolphins not only sticking with him, but just continually to build this defense and this offense around him. And let's see where the Dolphins can end up.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you talk about the Tyreek Hill thing, I mean, not only just that him doing well and being that elite wide receiver, it's about having that threat of him around. What has it done for the Chiefs in their offense to where so many people now have to try and game plan to him? And fortunate enough for the Miami Dolphins, they do have a lot of depth at wide receiver. I mean, because that will open up things for guys like Jalen Waddle and things. And now you have Cedric Wilson there, too, that you just added from the Cowboys.
A great pickup. Another great pickup.
And to where now they're even thinking about maybe moving Devontae Parker and stuff like that. And
I don't think it's
going to happen there. But you have that type of depth and have him in that wide receiving core that opens it up for these other guys to make some big plays for you as well. So it's a great move for them. Like Joe said, the compensation I think was a little too high. And is that really the marker that's going to get you over the hump where you are right now? And like also the Fire Rises says, the big question has to be within just Tua altogether. Will he be able to do it? It's almost like for me being a Giants fan, you got Daniel Jones here. He's got to be a show it year. We're putting weapons around him or an offensive line around him. Hopefully, see what he can do this year. If he doesn't do it now, then you know it's not it. And this is kind of the feeling I think for Tua. This is the year he's kind of turn things around.
All Tua has to do is show progress. That's it. He doesn't have to have a phenomenal
stellar.
year or
I
anything
don't
like
say
that.
To be stellar,
but he just has to show progress from what he was showing before. And here's the thing: is we've seen him have some success in this league with less. We've seen him actually do really well. Think about when Ryan Fitzpatrick was back with that team, and they were kind of going back and forth and didn't really know who was going to start every week. And then Fitzpatrick would start a couple of games, and all of a sudden Tua would come in there. Tua had some success back then, and until they decided to move on from Fitzpatrick, and now Tua's there, minus the injuries. And that's the other aspect of it is, can he stay healthy? If he can stay healthy and show some progress, that's going to be enough. That's going to give the answer that the Dolphins are looking for in that quarterback position. So Tua shows progress, he stays, and they build around that team more. If he doesn't, then there's going to have to be a big decision made on Tua, like whether they want to keep going with him or they're going to move on from him. That's going to be a big thing. And then for Tyreek Hill, now that they've made that big trade, I could see Tyreek Hill kind of take that same Deebo Samuel role, because Tyreek Hill, not only is he blazing fast and he has crazy acceleration.
That would be nuts.
But he is strong. He might be short in stature, but he is built, and he's built to take hits. He can he's very physical, and I definitely could see him like on those jet sweeps, that the Niners like to use, and also little screen plays to him and watch him take off like the Chiefs used to utilize him. So there's a lot to like in Miami right now, and let's see what they can do. He also says, the Fire Rises 2 also says, do you think the new coach is a good fit? Now, this is where, it's all speculation, right? You got Mike McDaniels coming from the 49ers, was the offensive coordinator, but let's face it, Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator. He was the one calling the plays. But nonetheless, Mike McDaniels was learning under Kyle Shanahan to prepare him for possibly getting a head coaching job or a legit offensive coordinator job. So here he is. He's going to come up with a different mindset. It's going to be a very similar type of offense, but he's going to have a little bit different wrinkles because he's going to want to do it his way. So do I think it's a good fit? Yes, because of the personnel that the Dolphins have with Tua, who does have some mobility, who can run if he needs to or wants to. They have some nice weapons on the outside now. Now you not only have Tyreek Hill, but you have Jalen Waddle, who showed promise. You have Mike Gesicki at tight end. You have Devontae Parker. You have Preston Williams coming back. So you have some nice pieces. And then your offensive line is getting better. So you see progress. Let's see if they can learn the offense. One, Tua's got to learn this offense. And then also, just like everybody else, everyone's got to create that chemistry. Everyone's got to build with each other. So if that can all happen, then yes, I think not only will it be a really good fit, but also with the personnel in place, I feel like this is going to fit the offense really, really well. Wow.
All right. He also
Next.
says, here he goes. He's on fire. He goes, hey, I also would like to think that the trade was worth it because maybe these big names can now make other big players, free agents, etc., come to Miami. Maybe that's just me, he says.
What I would say to that is winning makes people come to the team. That's really what it is.
You know what?
There's going to be
that weather though helps too. I mean, and look at the stuff with Tom Brady. All right, because now you're hearing some of these things to where now some of the analysts and some of the anchors out there and some of the guys deep around the game are kind of questioning what's going on. Tom Brady comes back out of retirement, but then you're also hearing things that they're like, is there a trade with Miami? Is he going to go to Miami now and stuff like that?
Never know.
And what he's talking about here too, now you see, because people start to put the pieces together. It's
Right.
still nice weather. You're still there in Florida.
Yep.
You've got he'll probably take a deal on the low or whatever.
No
it ends
tax
up
in
being.
Florida.
Yep, and you've got Tyreek Hill to throw to.
Right.
Another big weapon.
Jalen Waddle.
Tom Brady get
Mike
Jalen Waddle.
Gesicki.
Absolutely. You've got the running game. You got the three-headed monster that you have there as it is as well. And a defense that's up and coming. So I mean, there you go. I mean, you if you are thinking that way,
Right.
and Tom Brady's going there, it could be that's what some of these guys, what bigger personality and bigger star than what you're seeing right here than Tom Brady, the GOAT.
And
they're already for you.
And to run off of that will prove to you what Stephen Ross thinks about a coach, about that Tua situation. That right there is going to tell you if, in fact, he's dead set on getting rid of Tua and dead set on moving on from him. And they pull off a big-time trade and get Tom Brady to come over, and they send Tua to Tampa. That's going to show you right there everything you need to know. Brian Flores, some extra info in there to go to with your lawsuit. So let's see how it all shakes out. Now, right now, it's just speculation and rumors.
Right.
But let's see if it kind of
But
develops
if
into
things
something
like
more.
that happen, you start putting the things together. Because what also came out, the yacht visit to where he met with one unnamed star
Deshaun Watson.
player that was the ownership was thinking about bringing in.
Deshaun Watson.
Right. That's why I thought it was odd
Right.
that the narrative was always painted that ownership loves Tua. Flores wanted this, blah, blah, blah. Ownership loved Tua. Maybe they did when they wanted to draft or something like that here too, but I feel all those stories were fueled by the things that were going on with ownership. If they do try and bring in another star like Tom Brady, another qualified, great quarterback here to take that role, that I think further proves his story about meeting on that yacht with a unsaid player and to go in and replace Tua. So that just draws lines together, and I think where he has an actual chance in that lawsuit.
The
and
fire rises
he says
too,
maybe
says.
we shouldn't have given up so much, but it could be like the Miami Heat with LeBron, where a lot of players wanted to come to Miami and play for us. Not that he's comparable to LeBron.
Yeah,
but
the LeBron effect would be Tom Brady.
But that would be
That's
Tom
really what it
Brady,
would
just
be.
like that. But this is what maybe Tyreek Hill, what I was kind of saying, though, too. Tyreek Hill gets there. Now Tom Brady already comes back out of playing. Now even you see Bruce Ariens isn't there even anymore. He sees the weapons that are there again. He isn't afraid of jumping to going somewhere else. I'm like, hey, let's hop on and get these guys another ring too. He has that type of power himself. But then seeing the personnel that they have with Tyreek Hill now and a young Jalen Waddle in the running game too, you brought Tom Brady there, I think, too, in a sense too.
So what are you saying? You're saying
I'm
that
saying
Tom
Brady, if you didn't get Tyreek Hill at that point, I don't think there is discussions about Tom Brady going to Miami.
But those discussions were happening before that trade even got consummated.
I didn't hear so much about him until after that fact.
Yeah, because it doesn't happen like that quickly. So there was discussions being happening right before even the Tyreek Hill trade even went down. So with Tom Brady, for him to be lured there, well, he doesn't have that choice. He doesn't. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have him under rights. So unless the Dolphins were to blow Tampa Bay away or maybe even give them more competition than they thought they were going to get for Brady, because let's face it, Brady is not a young spring chicken anymore. And even though he's a great quarterback, the amount of money he's going to make is nothing compared to some of these contracts now. You know, Aaron Rodgers just signed for basically on average $50 million a year. His contract is $20 million this season. So that's nothing. So of course they would love to bring him in. And if this does end up happening where Tom Brady does in fact get moved and the Dolphins are that team, that's got to get everybody jazzed up in Miami, because now you have a proven commodity at the quarterback position, which is big. However, here's the big if, is Brady, after the season, could just either retire after one season, could just want to play somewhere else after this season. So even if you consummate a trade and get Brady, there's no guarantee he's going to stay after 1 year. And then you're still now you have nobody at that quarterback position. So I don't think it would be wise. I understand if you were Super Bowl ready like Tampa Bay was, where they had a great team all the way around and they're already proven, already ready. They just need to insert a quarterback. Then you make that move to win a chip. But there's a lot of questions with Brady, like how long is he going to play? You're only going to have him for a year, then you lose and you don't have a quarterback. So
he says Tom Brady bought a house in Miami. I always thought that was interesting.
I mean, yeah, but we've seen this before, right? You know, Devontae Adams, before he got traded, bought a house in Las Vegas. You know, so maybe something is stirring. Maybe this is going to happen. But I would say it wouldn't be that wise, because the longevity at that position, Tua is going to last longer than Tom Brady. I'm just saying, like, you think about what you're giving up. And unless you have absolute conviction that you are going to not only make it to the Super Bowl, but also kind of conquer it all and win the whole chip, that's the only reason why you pull off a move like that.
He says, do you think we should have kept Tannehill? Maybe we didn't use him properly, or he really is mainly successful due to the system and players around him like Derrick Henry.
Yeah, honestly, I think Ryan Tannehill, I feel like the Dolphins, back when that whole fiasco was going on with Tannehill's injury, and then here comes Fitzpatrick, and they have some success with Fitzpatrick, but Tannehill comes back from his injury, and then it's like, well, we don't even know if we really want you anymore because we see some success with other quarterbacks. I always thought Tannehill had he was starter worthy. Never was going to be an upper echelon or a elite type of quarterback even after his development, but he is the type of quarterback that needs a running system to where he can utilize some of his mobility, have play action, and that's really what happens in Tennessee as they run with Derrick Henry. They do play action plays to get people open, A.J. Brown and so forth, and that's the kind of system that really fits Tannehill to a T.
Right.
But I think, you look back now and you look at that Tannehill situation and you're like, I think they made the right decision. I think they moved on from him, and now look at where they are now. They have a better team in place right now. A lot of weapons now, especially acquiring Tyreek Hill. You have a guy in Tua who could be the franchise quarterback, and a team that's kind of built up a little bit here. So this is a team that is, I feel like if everybody, and this is a big if this offense, everybody learns it really well and they create a lot of chemistry this offseason, this team could turn the corner pretty quickly. It really can. We've seen how good this defense can be. They got all these weapons now. They upgraded at left tackle. So if Tua can progress and show promise, this team could surprise some people in some games.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, I think a lot of it all depends. The player is who you think he is. He can be a starter. He's starter worthy, like Joe said. System makes a lot of sense too.
It does.
He didn't have stellar players on the team when he was with them before, but if you got a guy like now with the Titans, you had Derrick Henry, who in that running game can get you 10 yards a rip sometimes. Those explosive plays to where it alleviates anything you have to do. I don't think there was a major season really stand out that, except for like 2 years ago, that Tannehill had a certain amount of yards and controlling the pace of the game. But he didn't also have a talent like Tannehill behind him and things like, or like Tannehill, like Derrick Henry behind him and things like that. So he's been beneficial of this, and you want to say, we could have kept him. In the retrospect, right now, it makes sense. Yeah, we probably should have. But we see coaches, we see players move on because of what's going on within the franchise or the team in that time, and they needed to change it up, make a change, things like that. We've seen the Jets move on from GMs, coaches, because things were bad or whatever, and things got worse with other guys after, like when they moved on from their GM. What the hell is his name? I can't remember Mike T. But they haven't made the playoffs since he was the general manager, and they got rid of him.
For where again?
The Jets. Tannenbaum, right? Mike Tannenbaum, right? He was their GM when they had the Sanchez and all those guys and stuff like that. And what the hell is his name again? I can't remember. But
Joe Douglas? It's not Joe Douglas.
No, it was before Joe Douglas. That's what I'm saying, though. Mike Tannenbaum.
Is he the owner?
No, he was the GM. This is what you listen to me. He was the GM
trying
before, and that's what I'm saying. They had success then, and it wasn't enough. They felt they needed to make a change, got rid of him, and they've been worse since then. Haven't gotten back to there since then. But at that time, they felt they needed to make that change, and who's to say now since then, was it any better? Are they in any better positioning right now? And then the Fire Riser says, that's true. Very easy to say in hindsight. Absolutely. So you never know. He says, I got to go to sleep, but thank you for all the great sense of humor and an awesome convo. You got the sub. Hope to be back here. Thank you. Thank you so much, buddy. We definitely appreciate it.
The fire rises to everybody.
Absolutely. Hey, he's
coming in hot, man.
He's the commenter of the night, buddy. He's
a lot.
MVP of the show tonight. Colin Murphy's with us here, too. He says, I don't think Brady would go back to the AFC. NFC is a much easier path back to the Super Bowl. That's a good point, too.
And just to your point, here's the interesting thing is I just looked up. Brady has a no-trade clause. So if Brady doesn't want to be traded, he doesn't have to go there. So if the Miami Dolphins come calling by chance and say, hey, what do you want? This is what we want. Okay, cool. We'll do that. Let's make it happen. And then they call Brady, but like, Brady, the Dolphins want to trade for you. Nope, don't want to go there. I'm good. He doesn't have to get, it doesn't happen. So, and it gives him power to, if he wants to go somewhere, he'll be like, I'll make it happen. This team and this team want to trade for you. Well, I want to go to that team. So that's the team I'm going to. You know what I mean? We've seen this. We've seen it happen before. And this is why I feel like more players, and we've seen the frustration before.
Probably put this in their contracts.
Right, or at least try to. Because if you're a rookie and you get your rookie deal, you don't really have much say. It's already kind of pre-done. The agent's already got the finer details already ironed out before you even get to the facility, the team facility. But if you're on your second contract, third contract, something like that, then you have some say if you're a proven player to where like, hey, I want a no trade clause. By the way, oh, you do? Some teams might be willing to do that because they're like, hey, that means that he doesn't want to leave. That means he wants to stay. And it gives actually the player and the team more power. So whether another team is that interested into getting him, and the team's like, oh wow, you want to give up that? Okay, cool. Well, yeah, we'll give you this guy for that. Sure, why not? And then they call the player, even though the team was willing to do it. Now the player doesn't want to. So it gives both sides some power in negotiations and what have you. But that was interesting. I just found that out that Brady does have a no trade clause. So even if the Bucs wanted to trade him, he could just simply say no. He's not going nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, and the other player I was thinking about was Chad Pennington. That's when Mike Tenenbaum was there too.
Oh, you're thinking that far back.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, and that was probably the last bit of success they had, with that franchise. And like I said, Rex Ryan, Mark Sanchez making it actually to the AFC Championship game, and none of those guys are there. No. And have they gotten better since? No, they've gone through coaches. They've gone through different GMs.
Right, because they're terrible at drafting and they're terrible at adding the right coaching staff. It's that simple. And the GMs have been bad. So it's like guys like Joe Douglas, right? We pick on him all the time. And there's a reason for it. It's not because we just like to give the Jets a hard time, even though it's kind of fun right now. But I feel like the Jets are one of those teams that are getting better. They're slowly getting better. Last season, you know what I mean? They get their quarterback. They add a couple pieces on the offensive line. This season, now it's like, okay, now we got to build around everybody. We got to keep this thing going. They got better at the offensive line yet again this offseason. Maybe they're going to add some more high-profile wide receivers. That's the other thing, too, is with all these other, like the Jarvis Landrys and the Julio Joneses and stuff like that. Why don't the Jets bring a couple of these guys in to kind of give not only a veteran presence, but also to help, kind of reshape this team in the mentality that some people have towards it. So, and then
at least they were in the conversation when you heard about Tyreek Hill hitting the market, possibly that they were there.
They were there
to jump on it,
but they were only giving up 2 seconds and a third. So
they were being realistic about the situation, though, because when you look at the Devontae Adams trade that went down, that for me set the bar. So when everybody asked about, when the news was coming about Tyreek Hill being traded, where do you set it? I said probably a little underneath of what Devontae Adams is. That's where I see Tyreek Hill. He's a great player. He's got great speed, and you know what he is. Not, I think, in that overall top elite top 3 or so, like what Devontae Adams is. So I valued him around where probably what the Jets had done. And Miami, just again, like I said, the Texans, the Kansas City Chiefs were like, oh, you're going to have to blow me away. And they did it.
And the only caveat to that is that because Tyreek Hill's younger. So maybe that's why they commanded a little bit more compensation. And the Dolphins were willing to give it up. So, I mean, hey, if you can get it, by all means, go get it. But the Jets, and that's the other thing, too, is they brought in Robert Saleh, who's a defense guy, right? That defense is still atrocious. So he's got a lot of work cut out for him. So
that's the one thing for them.
That being said, moving on, there's a lot of variables no matter what situation, you're in. And the whole Brady thing, it's exciting to talk about. Maybe he gets
moved. Who knows? Who knows by next week?
I mean,
we'll see.
If I'm Brady, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying right there with a team that I'm already comfortable with. I already know the offense. You know what I mean? I run the offense, and I have all the weapons I need. So.
And right now you're in an easy division, the way I see it.
NFC conference.
Yeah,
I mean,
even the
you can
conference
get
is fairly
easily win the division and easily get back in the playoffs and maybe make another run.
Absolutely. We definitely appreciate the comments out there, you guys. I mean,
Sure.
we just did a whole other conversation based on
Let's
the
go,
Dolphins and
baby.
stuff we weren't expecting, just because the Fire Rises from Twitch
Yeah.
joined along with us. I know you guys on
Welcome,
Facebook
welcome.
and stuff like that. I know we started off here on Facebook, and we love you Facebook guys too out there as well. But don't forget about our YouTube channel, because you know what? What's special about our YouTube channel as well is we have it set up so then if you are watching via YouTube, you get to see the Facebook comments, you get to see the Twitch comments, you get to see all the comments that are lighting up, and you don't need us to read them out to you guys out there. You can see it and you can react firsthand by seeing these comments. Scroll down in the chat box too. So it's another different type of experience. So if you haven't yet, go to our YouTube, just search Football on the No Show, hit the subscribe button, punch the notification bell, let you know wherever we go live. And if you haven't yet and you are watching us on Facebook, join our Facebook group, Football on the No Show as well. We love the members. We love having you guys here as well, and appreciate the support.
Yeah, and help us grow this community of ours. You know,
Yeah,
this
and
is
we forgot to
this is-
mention, too, this time about the Spotify and all that stuff, too, as well, Joe.
Yeah, and it's the thing too, is if you're listening to us on any kind of podcast platform, you can make sure you go ahead, hit the follow button, follow along. Listen, we're the most interactive football talk show out there. That's what it is. This is what it's all about. It's all about the fans. You know what I mean?
We
It's
want to hear
about
what you
us.
think for once.
It's
We're not
about
going
the
to put
fans
you
out
on
there.
hold for 10 minutes and wait until we're done.
And we'll react to anything. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? As long as it's football related. I mean, no, we threw in a lasagna question today, which
That
was
was fun,
interesting.
though.
But nonetheless, you know, this is what it's about. It's about being interactive, sharing some knowledge, getting some feedback back and forth about teams, about what the situations that are occurring. But it's amazing. We have a lot of fun doing this, and you guys are the reason why.
And it's Mastro is in the house.
What's going on?
Tonight.
It's
Mastro's in the
Mastro.
house. I know he said
What's
hi
up?
earlier to JoJo. I don't know if he knows the Fire Rises and stuff like that, too. That's awesome. A pleasure having you on.
We
here.
have some new news breaking
New
right
news,
now.
breaking news. Hold on,
so
I got to get the breaking news
That's right.
button. See if I can get
So
it
the
here
Tampa
quick.
Bay Buccaneers have given.
Here we go. Wait a second.
Come on, hurry up. This just in.
There it is.
Tack a ticker. Where are you at
Tack
on
a
this
ticker.
one? But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers give Todd Bowles a 5-year deal. So Tampa Bay getting rid of remaining 2 years on Todd Bowles' D coordinator contract for new long-term head coach deal. So there's your answer right there.
Boom.
Todd Bowles is now not just the interim head coach. He is the head coach for 5 years running. Wow, right? That's incredible. So now that whole Byron Leftwich idea
Yeah, we just talked about it, it's just
gets
done
thrown
now.
right
Yeah,
out.
right.
But
But
listen,
like you said,
he
though.
will get an opportunity next season for sure.
Yes, if he does well, too. And that's the thing. Another offensive coordinator of color under a head coach that's of color, too, maybe that helps draw lines together, too, and help branch this thing further with that. All right, well, we're about to wrap the show up pretty soon in a little bit, but you know what? Draft is coming. It's a few weeks away, Joe.
Very excited.
I haven't done a lot
Cannot
of my
wait.
homework yet. I'm one of those late-minute crammers and stuff
you
like
know
that,
what?
and we're going to have our preview show
But you
in
know
a little
something.
while. But
Is the information that kind of gets filtered out, especially early on.
Oh, yeah,
A lot of it's fabricated. A lot of it isn't true. So we kind of let the dust settle a little bit, find some finer details on the prospects coming out, and do our own due diligence on watching tape and giving our own opinion on a prospect rather than just taking word for word what the NFL Network say or ESPN. Radio.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. I don't listen to what they say with the, I'll hear their opinions there, but I really go and sit and watch tape and film on almost all these players here, and not everyone, but a lot of the big ones here. And we look through it, and I give you my own opinion on it, and we're going to have discussions about that in upcoming too. The next, whether we can do it next week or the week before or week after that, we are going to take a look back at 2019 to 2019 draft, which is a 3-year window here to where you pretty much can look at a player
you look
and
back.
really what he is after 3 years. So we're going to look back at that 2019 draft, and we're going to grade all the picks, the top 32 teams, the top 32 picks, and how they did, and whether it's a pass or fail, depending on how the player is now and how he's developed.
Yeah, because that's when you
to
get
see
your
what
best.
happened with some of that.
That's when you get your best, feedback or get your best knowledge about that player. 3 years in the NFL, 3 years of a resume, and to really kind of gauge, was it worth it picking them where they were picked, or was it?
And the 2019 draft, that's going to be a real fun one to talk about too, Joe. But Jacksonville Jaguars, they have the first pick here, then the Lions and the Houston Texans, then the New York Giants. So us as got New Yorkers and upstate New Yorkers in here, we have a few teams here that picking early on in this draft a couple times here, and it's interesting where they might go with some of these picks. We were talking about maybe the Jets should help out their defense, get the defense going. Robert Saleh, known as the defensive guru, maybe they should go in that realm. The Giants really want to build that offensive line. Do they go offensive line? Pass rusher here, but we've also heard about Sauce. They want the Sauce here. Maybe get some secondary help for them. What do you guys think as fans of your teams? We have guys watching right now. Light up the comment section. Let us know your team and what you think they should do in the draft here. The Jacksonville Jaguars, now they are under a new coaching setup here, and Doug Peterson. They've gone hot and heavy on trying to get personnel to help out Trevor Lawrence here in the wide receiver situation and things like that. Do they go defense again? This team has been traditionally a team that goes for defensive players. Do they go on that route? What would they go? And the Detroit Lions, I think, sitting here at number 2, I think will be one of those teams to watch. Do they pass on quarterback in this one, which a lot of teams or a lot of analysts think that teams will because of the quality of quarterbacks coming out of this draft? How far does that slide? Some of them see it going even into the second round. I'm not a big believer on that because history has shown us that no matter what or how fluid or how bad you think some of these quarterbacks are or how not strong of a class it is, that really hasn't mattered. If you need that quarterback, they will go and get it whenever they can here. So what trades will happen? Who is going to trade back? Who doesn't really need one? Do the Giants try to trade back? Because do they believe in Daniel Jones enough not to get one of these guys? The Detroit Lions sitting at 2. You have Jared Goff now. Do they believe in one of these quarterbacks that are sitting here to pick at number 2? Or do they go for another type of guy that they need to fill a lot of the needs that they have? Joe, what do you think about this?
Honestly, the Jacksonville Jaguars need to pick offensive line. You got to keep protecting the amount of incentives that you have for this quarterback and Trevor Lawrence. You just drafted him. You got to protect him. You got to keep this team going up. Listen, you spent a lot of money at the wide receiver position, not in the best way. But, they add a guy like Zay Jones. They add a guy like Christian Kirk and pay him a lot of money to come to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Will that be enough? Maybe. But, again, you have to continue to protect your what am I trying to think of? One of the biggest positions that are for the NFL, you have to maintain keeping them upright. You have to protect that quarterback position. So Trevor Lawrence, being a young quarterback, I feel like the head coach,
you gotta protect your
head
face
coaching
of the
hire
franchise
is
and
going to
your
be
main
great.
guy.
And it's going to be really great for Trevor Lawrence in his development. You're finally getting a guy that can kind of work with a pro quarterback and get him to play even better. You also got guys returning like Travis Etienne, who didn't even see the field last season. So they got another weapon in him. And I know in the last regime was kind of looking towards using him as more of a receiving threat. This regime might like to do a little bit of both, running on the ground and kind of utilizing him out of the backfield. But as far as the draft pick they're taking, number 1 overall, it's got to be offensive line. It has to be to continue to protect them. It's got to be a guy like, what's his face, from offensive lineman Akem Akwanu. That guy is an absolute animal. he will maul the crap out of you. So I feel like he's one of the safer offensive tackle picks in this draft. A guy that shows extreme power, a guy that shows everything that you need in a tackle to protect your quarterback and even open up running lanes. Ikem Ekwonu definitely has to be the pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right. Yeah, I mean, again, that's situations you want to do. You want to be able to keep your guy upright, and maybe we will see something better out of Trevor Lawrence this year. I mean,
and you think, and real quick, because I was just looking at the Detroit Lions pick after that, it's got to be a pass rusher, because you think about what has happened this offseason. Trey Flowers is now a free agent. They moved on. They moved on from him because of salary cap issues. So now you need to replace that ferocious, that attacking type of defensive end that he was. You got to replace him now, and that defense needs help. So hopefully they're going to add either a guy like Aden Hutchinson or maybe Trayvon Walker from Georgia. Whoever fits the scheme the best, look for one of those guys to kind of slip right in there and for them to take. Or, I mean, honestly, they could still fill out this offensive line even further and move on from the left tackle spot or whatever. Now, they drafted last year. They had used a high draft pick, and they drafted their offensive tackle. That they could double down. They could double down again for this draft and take another offensive tackle or a high-prized offensive lineman at guard or whatever, and kind of move on with that movement of further protecting Jared Goff and creating a sense of stability at that offensive line position. They could do that. They could also go that pass rushing route, like I just mentioned. Aden Hutchinson, Trayvon Walker. There's quite a few players that they could go after, and it would all make sense. But what I would say for teams like Detroit is they have a lot of needs. So if you got that high pick, look to trade down. Bulk up on a lot of draft picks, because in this draft, it's not about those top elite ascending players at the top anymore. This draft alone, there's a lot of even keel talent, a lot of talent that's out there that are all really close to each other. There's nobody really separating themselves from the pack. So for this draft alone, I would say trade back, add some more picks, and further attack your needs down the road.
It's Mastro says, I don't even know what the Titans need to do besides keep Henry healthy.
When the Titans pick?
26th.
In way down
the
there.
first, but they're down there. But again, with the value, like you're saying, you can get this season.
I would tell you this: you're going to take best available. That would be the best thing to do, is take best available, whether that be an offensive tackle that happens to slide to you, whether that be a guard that slides to you that you didn't think was going to be there, or this draft is full, and I mean full, of offensive line talent as well as wide receivers like crazy. So even picking 26, if you want to pair a young stud with a guy like A.J. Brown to kind of open up maybe this passing game, when they do utilize it, instead of handing the ball off to Derrick Henry, you can do that. You can add one of these stellar receivers that are going to be right there in the sweet spot at 26 and attack there. Or you could attack also maybe a Derek Stingley Jr. slips down to you at cornerback, and you can kind of, what passing game? I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of things that you can help. Listen, I know you ever need a tight end. Maybe one of these better tight ends you could take at 26. There's a lot of ways that the Tennessee Titans could go. And again, this draft is so deep with talent, and there's not a big lead between some of these players. And actually, the funny thing is what you get at the bottom of the first round, you could probably get in the top of the third round in this draft. That's how deep this is. And so a lot of teams are going to be happy with that. You're going to be able to fill a lot of holes and maybe early contributors for the upcoming season.
Right. I mean, in that Titans team, they even surprised me last year with the injuries that they had gone through, too, especially not having Derrick Henry and being able to come back around playoff time. Unfortunately, it didn't help him enough to make it further into the playoffs. But be able to make the playoffs and be able to play well despite some of the issues that they were facing shows even how well coached this team is altogether too. Because when you're looking at a team that's run by Ryan Tannehill here, you didn't have Derrick Henry. You had A.J. Brown on occasion, but then he was out. And then Julio Jones, you expected to be that guy there too, and he was injured back and forth. So you didn't even have your full team at your palm of your hands the whole season here, and still being able to make that wild card in that tough AFC. It shows you how well coached that team is and what they could do. Just add some more players to that, guys, and then maybe you can start to see one of those passing games, develop here for them. Colin says the Bucs need to get a guard to replace Ali Marpet, safety to replace Jordan Whitehead. They did lose some guys here in the offseason here too, and yeah, I mean that makes sense for them too here. And you saw their defense take a little step back a little bit last year, but they want to get back to where they were when they made that strong run for the Super Bowl here, and gearing up now with Tom Brady. That's what they want to do.
Didn't the Tampa Bay Buccaneers sign a safety in free agency? Was it Marcus May, or was that with the Saints?
I think
I'm trying to remember who it was.
Saints.
I don't know.
I think
something
they did.
something tells me that they signed a safety, but if they didn't, I don't think there's going to be anybody right there that you're going to want to take, because I feel like the kid from Notre Dame, what's his name? Kyle Hamilton. I don't think he's going to fall that far in this draft in the first round. I feel like he's going to be picked somewhere in the middle. So that's kind of out of realm of possibility. But if you're looking at guard, possibly a guy like Zion Johnson from Boston College, guy is an absolute beast. Would fit very well with the Bucs offensive line. That's someone to keep an eye on. Also, there's a guy like Kenyon Green from Mississippi State. Maybe he falls down to you. I would jump on that as well. Both guys are going to be studs in this league. So if you're looking at guard, a couple of names to keep an eye on. If you're looking at safety is a little harder to. I mean, if Kyle Hamilton doesn't, maybe he slips, maybe he doesn't. But he's one of those hot commodities right now. There's still other safeties you could add, like maybe a Daxton Hill, maybe a Lewis Kine. Maybe, there's some names that are out there that if you really are convinced that that's the guy that you need to take, I think the best quality for that pick would be guard, because that's when you're going to get the most value and benefit out of at that position.
Mm-hmm. Now, Joe, I'd mentioned the Jets and the Giants are going to be picking twice within the top, we'll say 12, 15. We've talked about the Jets a little bit and what they should do maybe. What about the Giants now? This has been the main question for them.
Picking fifth overall.
Because they have, in the offseason now, grabbed a center. They've grabbed the guards. They grabbed tackles. They're cutting some guys, making some moves.
Yeah.
You're hearing about Bradbury possibly going to the Chiefs still. Not sure.
I think
There's other teams that are out there
they're looking to trade him for sure,
conversations, because they still have a little bit of cash to get rid of here to get in a good spot with the cap here. Other teams just said screw the cap altogether. But
so if you have 1 through 7 picks, you need about $10 million to pay the rookies.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too, is they need that money to be able to pay the rookies.
Yep.
And so that's what they're trying to face and try and move on Bradbury. I know some Giants fans around here are like, oh, why are we doing this? Other ones that are more down to earth, they're kind of like, well, we need to be able to do this. And are we really going to be that good this year that Bradbury's going to help us and save us and we're going to make the playoffs?
Yeah.
Here we go. He didn't do that for us last year.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what do you think, sitting at 5 and then 7 now with the Giants, what's their best line of attack here? We've heard, like I said, some names come out for them. Do they try and trade back and then load up on some more offensive linemen, or when do they go for a pass rusher? Do they get one of these secondary guys? What's your opinion on what they do here?
I think the best line of attack for the Giants is now that they're picking 5 and 7. That's great. You got 2 premier picks. That they could utilize a couple different ways. They could take one of those picks and trade down to build up more draft capital, get like a couple second rounders or something like that by trading one of those first rounders out, or they can keep them both and take best available there. So the Jets, I feel like that's going to be the one team to watch because they pick right before the Giants is Sauce Gardner at corner. Like, if they plan on moving on from Bradbury, what's a better way than to add one of the premier talents at cornerback in the draft to replace Bradbury? And you send him packing and get a few more draft picks that way. So you could stay there at 5 and see what the Jets take, because Jets have been rumored to take Sauce Gardner too, because he's that special of a corner. And if they don't, Giants could pounce on him then. Take him at 5, and then at 7, come back and take an offensive tackle. Or even at 5, if that's what they want to do. Say if Sauce Gardner's already gone, take a guy like Evan Neal if he's there. Take a guy like Ikem Ekwonu if he's there. Take a guy like Charles Cross if he's there. All three of those I feel like are very deserving of that kind of a high pick. Other than that, Kyle Hamilton at safety. Pair him up with I always screw up his last name. Is it McKinney?
Xavier McKinney?
Xavier McKinney. Pair him up with Xavier McKinney. Now you got 2 studs at safety, and kind of build that back end of that defense up. So there's a lot of ways the Giants could definitely go. Definitely have to use, if you're going to keep both picks, you have to use one for offensive line. You got to continually to build that offensive line up, because you know as well, because you're a Giants fan, the heartache of not having a good offensive line to either help protect your quarterback or open up rushing lanes. It's been overlooked, to say the least, in New York. So definitely attack offensive line, and also you could go a lot of different ways, whether it be corner, safety, maybe even a receiver, because a lot of these guys, like Sterling Shepard, sometimes he has a hard time staying healthy, and maybe they might look for one of these studs like Chris Olave or someone like that to kind of stretch the field. So. We'll see what the Giants do. Now, I don't have a ton of confidence in your GM.
Why?
But because he does love the defensive men, and he likes to take them out. The one thing that'll work in your spot is that the fact that he loves defense, and Sauce Gardner might be there.
He might be there.
He might pounce
first,
on
and then we'll see what happens after that.
And then pass rusher. You know what I mean? He loves those pass rushers.
Right. Godzilla Media's in the house with us tonight.
What's going on, guys?
There you go. He goes, I can replace Ali Marpa. There you go. So Gaz says he'll go. He's going to throw his hat in the ring on that one. Yeah. We'll see. That'd be great. How about that? Hey, might be a spot on Joe's flag team.
Gosh, if you're interested, man, I always look for more talent. So go ahead.
There you go.
Shoot me a message, bro.
O-line, D-line, or you can do both. Whatever you want, buddy. Shoot him a message.
We'll get you suited back up.
I know what you're saying there, though, too, because the fact, that he's a defensive minded, hopefully so, and you just hope that he's not going to be doing what we've seen Dave Gettleman do. Again, reach on certain guys. You might like Daniel Jones, but not get him there, though, too. It is scary because I'm seeing the parallels where Dave Gettleman came in, and he was from the Carolina Panthers organization, started bringing familiar faces from the organization. You're seeing that a little bit with Joe Shane, too, now, former Buffalo Bills here. But I like the quality of the players that he's bringing in from the Buffalo Bills as well, though. So this looks like it could be good, but they're also kind of insurance policies, I think, for that type of aspect as well, where he can still draft and fill needs and spots, and he has these veterans here that can still be there as an insurance policy. Bruce Ariens, he says, Godzilla Media says, Bruce Ariens was Coach K. This would have lasted, if he was Coach K, this would have lasted all year. And he says, call my agent about the flag. There you go. Hey, so you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so Bruce Ariens, a coach. Maybe. Bruce Arians, again, Joe and I think, have a different opinion, especially of what media thinks of Bruce Arians. For some reason, I think Bruce Arians is a media darling in some of their eyes. I have a different opinion, as much as so, because he has shown some success. He's been a veteran out there, but he, again, you can't put him, I know maybe what you're trying to say, maybe with Coach K, he cannot be on that same bar ever. You know what I mean? It's totally different here. but I know what you mean about trying to do like a remembering tour, a retirement tour as you're going on. Like some people have said maybe Aaron Rodgers could have done with Green Bay last year if he was truly going to leave or retire and stuff like that. I don't think, at least for me, I would have had that kind of recognition for him, and he's nowhere near on that same level. And, he's moved on. I don't think it's going to see a big difference here with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, though, too, because, again, you've got Tom Brady, who is the general of that whole offense. Byron Leftwich still there, who ran the show there, and also Todd Bowles in that defense. All together, the same type of scheme. I think they're going to still rock and roll with less bitch slapping on the sidelines. There you go.
There you go.
That's my hot take on that. But, hey, guys out there, you are a media member from around here to upstate New York, too. What's your take on the Giants? What do you think they do? What do you think the Jets do at their pick, too? Those guys are picking right there neck and neck. Where do they go with this? What kind of maybe confidence do you have in Joe Douglas to help turn this team around? Because he is making some moves, a lot of moves for the Jets. I'm still waiting to find out this season on where that leads to them. I don't think they're spectacular, but he's making moves. But he's still on that time that he's trying to save his job right now. So if this is a bad draft for him, which he's not known for having great drafts, then you might see the wheels start turning again to where now he's hot seat. And now we're looking at Robert Saleh now.
Yeah, he's also known for trading away all his first-round picks.
That's true,
since he's been there. So if he's still there in 2 to 3 years, expect one of these first-round picks or maybe all of them being traded away anyway for compensation. So and that's kind of like that's how he got these high this extra one and so forth. So he keeps trading away the players that he originally drafted to get other first-round picks, possibly. You know what I mean? So definitely not doing a good job, and I don't know why it's taken this long for the Jets to kind of maybe move on and get a different GM in. They're giving him one last shot, I guess, and let's see what he can do. And because the pressure has been applied to him, saying, hey, listen, if things don't change soon, your job's at stake. That's why all of a sudden you started to see him be a lot more prevalent in the free agency of adding talent, in free agency and spending that money. And acquiring draft picks. And now that he has a couple of them, don't screw it up. Don't mess this up and try to keep furthering build around for Robert Saleh and company to hopefully get better.
Yeah, absolutely. But they got to do something because this AFC East, too, is getting better now with what the moves that the Dolphins have made. The Bills are who they are. They're looking to make another push. They feel they kind of got screwed in that overtime loss in the playoffs. Patriots, they're a big head scratcher for me this season. It seems kind of weird now. It seems like I don't know. Maybe now I kind of look at it as maybe that old grandfather that you really liked and you hung out and you trusted what he did, but now it seems like maybe some dementia is creeping in a little bit, now. I'm starting to get like, is this them just being very meticulous or very smart that I'm not understanding what they're doing? Or now they've leaned in towards the batshit crazy area now? Because, again, Bill Belichick coming out and actually doing some interviews there at the owners' meeting, coming out and saying some things, switching up roles with the coaching staff, bringing back former players that they have already moved on from before, but then, now, they've got him back, Malcolm Butler back in the house. What? Things like this. And we saw them make a surge last year with the personnel that they had, and Mac Jones making to his first playoff in his rookie season, and got his feet wet. Obviously not ready for the situation yet, but we never thought the Patriots were really ready to make that push anyways. They kind of were premature, I think, in that particular situation here. But now with the moves that they're doing here, or even lack thereof, let me tell you that much, I'm a little scratching my head here with the Patriots, and I don't know really what to expect coming out of here.
That's a lot of things, too, is that
and Josh McDaniels moving on
in
too.
the NFL league circles, they've also expressed confusion on what the Patriots are up to because they bring back Joe Judge, classic Patriots move. They bring back Matt Patricia, Classic Patriots move. What's not classic is the fact that what positions they're holding right now. You know, Matt Patricia, who's a defensive-minded guy, is now coaching the offensive line. Joe Judge is an assistant, not even the coordinator. He's an assistant, not even the offensive coordinator, which I thought was going to end up happening. That didn't happen. And then Bill Belichick comes out and he's like, maybe I'll call the plays on offense, even though I'm a defensive-minded guy. And then on top of it all, a story that kind of didn't really get out there that much is the fact that at the Combine, the Patriots had not a head of scouting, not a veteran scout or anything like that, but a lot of times teams will send out their head of scouting or GM or what have you, talking to prospects' agents, and trying to get further information from them about said player. But the Patriots took it a little bit differently, and they sent a 4-year term as a assistant scout. Assistant scout. Nobody of any real prevalence, but an assistant scout to interview these agents about their prospects.
I'm telling you, it was a former masseuse. Yep.
It's kind of perplexing, on what they are doing and some of the decisions that they've made. I mean, just like Jim was saying too, Malcolm Butler's returning, and that's another classic move, but he's also coming back from major injury. How is he going to even be able to play after sitting out for a year or two? And a lot of confusion there. So I don't know if this is going to end up being the same Patriots team. We could be looking at them now and be like, what the frig are they doing? And then next thing you know, they're like, oh, they're winning games. You know what I mean? So we don't know, but there's a lot of confusion in New England, especially teams outside looking in, and us included. Not really sure where they're going to be headed, but with Josh McDaniels leaving from the offensive coordinator role, taking a head coaching job, and also McDaniels poaching a lot of the offensive staff that was originally there to bring with him. Now it looks like New England is in a little bit of a predicament here. And it doesn't look like they're handling it too well.
Yeah. That'll be an interesting thing to look at with this division. We talked about a few different things up in the couple early picks here, especially that related to us in this area in this draft. There's a lot more draft talk to be had in the next following weeks. We're going to give you guys our mock draft too moving forward. We are doing a live broadcast too on draft night too. We're figuring out everything there, all the information. We will let you guys know as soon as possible. Let's try to do it next week. Let's just do it next week. You want to do the 2019? We'll look back at it 3 years ago. 2019 draft review. We're going to look back at it, give pass fails for everybody. That's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you guys join us for that one next week. We've had a lot of great times talking with you guys. We've met some new know-it-alls out there. Shout out to everybody out there, the new subs. We appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks to all the new know-it-alls now that are part of this community. Listen, if you're new to the show, if you stayed to this point, make sure you give us a follow on any podcast or any platform that you follow your podcast on. Hit the follow button. Also, search us up on Facebook and YouTube, Football on the No Show. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. That's right. Dial it in. Build that up. And then also hit the notification bell to let you guys know when we go live. Listen, we're the most interactive football talk show out there, and we're here to stay. And It's just all for you guys. You guys make this possible. You guys make this fun, and that's why we enjoy ourselves. We have a great time talking with you. Also on Twitter, at FB_no. Become a know-it-all. Get right. See you Wednesday night. You heard it here.
Join us next week from 8 till 10 Wednesday nights for more Football on the No with Jim and Joe.